Awesome. All right, let's do an intro.
Hey.
I babysat once when I was in high school. Once. I had to watch a 7-year-old named David, and he wasn't like a menace or anything. There was no wild adventure or trouble we got into. He didn't find the kitchen knives or bathtub cleaners. He just whined a lot. I'm bored. Let's play Nintendo, I said. And he didn't want to do that. How about a movie? We could watch American Tail or Little Mermaid or nope, nope, nope. And do you like music, David? Not really. Are you hungry? Your mom left us money to order pizza. Why don't I start that? What do you like on your pizza? I don't like pizza. I could make us like breakfast for dinner. It's the only thing I know how to make. Oh, omelet, cereal pack. Nope, nope, nope. I tried to play board games with him, then card games. He didn't want to do that. He didn't want to go outside and throw the ball around. I don't know. He just was so like, everything sucks and I hate it. So I was like, do you mind if I play Nintendo? And he didn't seem to like the idea, but I just did, and I just played Zelda for a while, and that was it. I'm not sure he enjoyed himself, but he was at least like sort of like sedated into not whining. I mean, I honestly I knew then that babysitting was not the gig for me. I don't mind managing other people. I actually like that, but only when there's like some modicum of like a positive attitude. That doesn't mean we can't get sad or frustrated, but at a certain point, we do have to see just some potential for good in something. That's hard enough as an adult, let alone for a grumpy and possibly depressed 7-year-old to understand. I hope David is doing well these days and has found some happiness. I'm really not trying to drag some poor kid who struggled once in the early 90s to break out of suburban ennui. I actually thought of him last night while watching Se7en, this 90s hard-boiled noir mystery thriller from David Fincher. The movie is notable for its gruesome murder scenes, its creepy-ass killer, the what's in the box meme, and the Morgan Freeman versus Brad Pitt acting clinic. But it's also known for just being bleak as shit. Bleak to the point of just pure cynicism. Horror movies very often lack rays of sunshine and hopeful futures, but they rarely preach out loud that all of life is just a dog turd wadded into a ball and tossed into a flaming trash bin. I had forgotten about the unrelentant I had forgotten about the unrepentant bleakness of this film, the literal lack of sunshine, of bright colors, of positive epiphanies. In fact, it feels like the ultimate 90s Gen X film, cynical and disillusioned, wanting something else from life, though without knowing what that could even possibly be. Se7en is Douglas Copeland thrown into a ninja smoothie blender with Dashiell Hammett and Toby Hooper. It was a really interesting rewatch for me, and I had some nostalgic fun with it. But I'm so curious what this movie would feel like to a current day 20 something with no pre existing knowledge of this film's cultural impact. Hi, Cecil.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Seven Deadly Sins. Tag yourself. Which one are you?
Sloth, clearly. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
have to get out of bed.
hmm
Okay, that works. That works for me. I'm just
I
gonna be
100.
right here.
You drew Sloth as quickly as I thought of that. When I thought of this question, I was like, Sloth.
Yeah.
Sloth, totally.
Yeah. I was
Um,
like, I will gladly eat off my own hand rather than get up and actually make a nutritious meal for myself.
Yeah. You would think as artists, as an actor, we would think, oh, Cecil is definitely pride. No, no, no. We're artists. Sloth.
Nah,
Um,
nah,
nah, none of that other
nah.
shit. Well, Cecil, once again, I could not find us a single guest for this week's show, so I found us two guests. They're friends and horror lovers and makers of the most enjoyable horror movie podcast out there. I found us Jonny and Aileen of Uy Que Horror. Welcome back, y'all. Hi.
Hey.
Hey, thanks
Oh
for
my
having
God,
us on again.
can can I call Gluttony? I'm Gluttony.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Gluttony's a good one.
I'm
Uh-huh.
Gluttony. I would love to say that I if I'm being honest, sloths and Gluttony hybrid, but I think because so many of us are sloth, I'll go ahead and take Gluttony because the way I shove food into my face to the extent of like pain, that's absolutely me.
You're
Now,
like, I'm
to add
physically
on to
hurting
what
myself, but I just can't
Yeah.
stop.
to add on
Yeah.
to what Eileen is saying, she is a fabulous cook. So when she and I spend time together, I am also full gluttony, just like, what have you cooked? Let me shove it in here. Also to the point of severe pain. More. Is there
Mhm.
dessert? What have you made? Please give it to me. But I agree with you two guys. When I was watching this movie with fresh, almost 40-year-old eyes, I was like, Sloth, all the motherfucking way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this also reminded me of a conversation that Aileen and I had recently, where we were talking about the Scottish term herkle-durkle. What is it called? Herky-jerky?
We're calling it herkle-durkle, but it may not be that. It sounds like herkle-durkle.
Herkle-durkle.
I think it's herkle-durkle. It's
Herky
it's
jerky?
a really
Herky- like
herky
that.
jerky?
no.
No?
It's there's
The turkey lurkey.
It's
It's the turkey lurky dance?
It sounds like I think it's something close to herkle-durkle because it's the Urkel, Perkle, Merkel in the back that's funny.
Can you say it in your Scottish accent? Eileen's dad is Scottish, so she does it very well.
Herkle-durkle.
Herkle-durkle.
Herkle-durkle. Herkle-durkle. But it's
good.
supposed to be, the phrase is meant to be laying about in bed all day.
Okay.
To the point, like, but in not a guilty way and not in a shameful way, in a lovely, I'm meant to be doing this
Okay.
way.
Okay.
Yes. This sloth reminded me of the herkle-durkle turkey lurkey all the way. I was like, that's a life I could live for sure.
Truly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the notion that we can just hybrid these things, like a
Yeah.
gluttony,
Yeah.
a gloth. I'm a total
Gloth.
gloth.
Yeah.
I'm a total sluttony.
Sluttony.
Yes. Slut.
Renvy.
Yeah, envy.
Oh
I
yes.
like a good envy.
Progeny, like pride and gluttony. That's hard. That's
Yeah.
not
Gluttony.
cool.
Gluttony.
Cloth.
Glide. Gluttony
Glide.
and pride.
Uh-huh.
It's like when you don't easily fit into one of the Harry Potter houses, you're like,
Yes.
oh,
Yeah.
I'm like kind of a Ravenclaw, so
Yeah.
I'm a
I'm a
Ravenclaw.
Huffleclaw.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
the Slitherclaw.
Yes, Slitherclaw. That's good.
All right, y'all. Let's talk about David Fincher's Seven. I forget every time. I think I say this every time Cecil and I cover a '90s movie. I always say these are the most '90s opening credits I've ever seen, and
No,
then
but
another one
really?
tops it.
But really, though,
This
But
one
for
is
real.
so 90s. I forget that we never see credits like this anymore.
Mm-mm.
no.
Which is a shame. I'm gonna say
I
that's
agree.
a shame. And
Because
I'm
it was a
also
way
gonna
to
say
add a song to your,
Yeah.
to your
a
movie
great
as well.
fucking song. Thank you for giving us 9 Inch Nails at the top of our film. But I'm also gonna
Amazing.
say here, this is the best that it's been done. I think.
Oh yeah.
This
No,
one
like
was the best of this kind of style.
Yeah.
Mm.
I feel like this is like not only are we getting a very 90s opening here, but it's like we're getting kind of the best of it. This is like
Yeah.
David Fincher's first film that isn't alien cubed. Like we're
Alien
getting
Cube!
which we oh my god, that movie was a hot French dog turd.
I fucking
Johnny
love
loves it.
Alien.
I mean,
Johnny
it's
loves
great.
I fucking
But-
love that movie.
But it's
let's
like
also not
City
forget-
of Lost Children on ice with like it's bananas.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It is
Yeah.
it is bananas. I love the audacity of Alien Cubed, but also let us not forget that David Fincher is at least before this was a prolific and I think continued after this music video director.
Madonna.
Just gotta give a shout out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He did
Bad
Express Yourself,
Girl.
Oh
Yeah.
Father, Vogue.
Hello.
Oh my god, he did
and
Vogue?
Bad Girl.
Holy
He
shit.
did Vogue.
He
Isn't
directed
I
that
didn't know
wild?
that.
Yes.
So like you can like when you see that like this is a music video movie intro basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, with like a hard beat behind it, which is why it's so fucking good.
It's
Yeah.
so funny. When I was watching this, I was like, ooh, I can see a lot of Madonna's Bad Girl, because the music video for Madonna's Bad Girl is a murder mystery, basically.
Yeah,
And
very,
there's
like,
so-
noir-y.
Yes, and there's like these sweeping, like from the top shots that you see like a lot in
Yes.
this movie. And I was like, ooh, David Fincher, I see your work in other places. Good for
Uh-huh.
you.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Also, this Trent Reznor remix,
Oh,
Of-
so good.
like that's like
Closer.
you're like
Listen to
it's just a beat, and then
anytime.
halfway through you're like, no, I actually know this song.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Ugh.
Yes.
So
It also
tight.
gives you a lot about, what we see in this movie that you're like, what the fuck is going on here? But by the end, if you were to rewatch this segment, you'd be like, oh,
There
wow.
it is.
Mhm.
Yeah,
There
like
it
the
is.
fingerprints, like the cutting off of the
yes.
fingerprint. Like, why are you sewing together books? they make perfectly good books. You don't
Yeah,
have to. You don't
exactly.
listen. I know this Etsy
Sewing.
page.
Notebook.
Evan's
there's a
John Doe's
whole
Etsy
row
page
of
is
journals at Borders that you can grab.
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello.
Borders. Oh my gosh.
God bless.
Yeah, the intro kind of music video intro, I feel like went to television. Like it slipped out of film and just like landed
Yeah.
nicely on the TV series because they did this in Sopranos. 'Cause I was getting Sopranos vibes from this intro
Uh-huh.
too. Like
Yeah.
woke up this morning and,
Yeah, man.
and
Got
yeah.
myself a gun.
Yep. And I just feel like we've done this with Netflix mastered the art of skip intro, and you could just determine how good a show's intro song
Listen, that is
was, whether or
real.
not you wanted to watch it every
This
single
is-
time.
Totally.
White
giving you
Lotus, I will
True
watch that
Detective,
intro every
Night
single time.
Country.
Absolutely.
Night Country,
Yes.
I will watch that
Yes,
intro
hello?
every single time.
You're gonna give me a
Absolutely.
Billie Eilish song and tell me I can't sit there the whole thing? I'm sitting
And
there the
bop
whole
around
thing.
to it. 100%
Hello?
plus White Lotus. Whatever the fuck that shit
Yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The, like
Listen to this
the
beat.
throat, the yes.
Yes.
But there are definitely ones that
listening
I'm
one more
like,
time.
no, we can. Okay,
Yes.
we can get
Yeah,
through
I'm
this.
good.
We can get
I'm
through this.
good.
I understand what's happening here. Skip intro, skip recap. Here we go.
Yeah.
However, I feel like this is a tactic that like a lot of horror movies use. We're going to show you creepy ass images over, I don't know, like in The Craft, it was like, I am the sun and the air.
I love that
know,
opening
Love
so
that song
much.
too.
to like set the mood. But there's actually
Yeah.
some stuff beforehand. We actually get a little bit of Morgan Freeman introduction before the intro,
Mhm.
Yeah,
in which
cold
we just pretty
open.
much learn Morgan Freeman is like not the Felix Unger. What's the other odd couple? The neat and straight cop,
Mhm.
Yes.
the
And-
cop who sleeps to a metronome.
Right.
Oh, I feel so
girl.
bad for him. I mean, having to, TikTok the gritty city life outside by
Right.
listening to a metronome. But I'm so glad you mentioned this like little teeny intro before our music video, because the fact that we're at that crime scene, I think, at this point, and Somerset, Morgan Freeman asks, did the kids see the
Yeah.
crime that he is investigating? And I was like, that says so much about who that person is.
Yeah.
That he asked about a kid, but then this asshole other cop is like, who
This
gives a
other
shit?
cop was
Yeah,
what
berates
a
him.
fucking dick. No, I'm so glad you're fucking retiring in a week, dude, because all you
Whoa!
care about is fucking kids.
Kids witnessing murders. You with your fucking
Wow.
questions, detective.
Exactly. He's
Yeah.
doing his job, unlike you monster.
Job.
Wow.
Yeah, we like this movie is so fucking subtle. Like this movie is like streamlined to a T. Like everything is like a clue, whether it's a
Mhm.
clue to the murder mystery or not. But like I feel like everything is so supported. Like we get the city is the worst.
Mhm.
Like this movie has a point of view about pretty much everything in it. The city is terrible. And I
Yeah.
love how they also do not name the city. Like
Thank
the
you
entire
so
time.
much.
It's absolutely New York.
Yeah.
Is it
Okay.
Well,
or is it
it's
LA?
Oh, it's definitely
But
not LA.
filmed-
The yellow
I mean-
cabs.
No.
Yeah.
So I had to look. I watched through the entire credits, and I was like, "Where the fuck was this filmed?" I didn't see it in the credits. Maybe it was in there. The credits also look like a horrible nightmare. So I was like, "Where?"
Yeah.
Oh, God,
And
so
they
yeah,
go
you're like,
the
"Ugh."
other way around.
And they go backwards.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. It's
Oh my
very
God.
So
hard.
I went on
Really?
IMDb. This was filmed in LA.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, like a
Wow.
lot of those big buildings feel like downtown LA, and then at the finale, that is clearly some like Southern
California
California
bullshit,
Yeah,
rolling
yeah, totally.
hills.
Right.
But they
But they refer to it as upstate, downstate. They just moved
Mhm.
from
Which
upstate.
feels like New York.
they deliberately
feels like New York.
obscure what city
Yeah.
this is. Like they're doing Gotham
Yes.
is what it is.
But
So
I
like
love
Yeah.
that.
so when they drive
love
out,
it.
it's definitely nothing like the ending of this movie looks like anywhere near New York City. It looks
No.
like
Right.
Southern California.
Mm.
So, but
Yeah.
nothing about the city looks like LA. Like when
Yeah.
you watch this
Yeah.
movie, the tightness
Right.
of the streets, the busyness of the
Yeah.
foot traffic, the yellow
The
cabs, is all
rain
very
constantly.
Yeah.
Rain. You're like, is this fucking Seattle? But I think
I think it's
that you're
Baltimore,
right.
actually.
Yeah.
It's totally Baltimore.
It kind of feels
But
like
you're right,
Baltimore a little bit.
It's supposed to be jarring. It's supposed to
Yeah.
be disorienting and confusing, and it totally
Depressing
works.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the thing about cities is that like you have beautiful parks and landmarks that you're like, hey, this place may suck, but we still have X, Y, and Z. And every time I pass by X, Y, and Z, I go, oh, yay, the Brooklyn Bridge, cool. Or
Yeah.
whatever your city's hallmark is. But in this, it's like, nope, there's nothing but buildings and like crime and noise and dirt and mean people everywhere.
Yeah.
This is the city from Beau is Afraid.
Yeah.
Yes,
Or-
oh
it
my
is.
God.
Or this is the city from my parents' favorite fiction TV serial, which is Fox News. This is Chicago
Yes.
of the TV
Oh my
show
God.
Fox News.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh,
So,
totally.
yeah, this is how Fox News views New York City. It's
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, or no, Chicago, because Chicago's like
Or
the
any
death
of them.
capital of America
yeah.
to Republicans. So this
Yeah.
is
Totally.
yeah. But yeah, it's Nightmare Town. It's
Yeah.
Dark City. Like we watched Dark
Dark-
City for the
yeah.
show. It's totally noir.
Mhm.
This movie is noir more than any other genre, I think.
Yeah.
But also, so we've got Detective Somerset, which is Morgan Freeman. Sleeps to a metronome. He's pretty regimented. He kind of does his job. He does it well. He considers a lot of things that idiot cops don't consider, like feelings. And
Taking those emotions and just pushing them down a little bit to like get the job done. And he's like picking lint off his suit,
yes,
like preparing his
Bless
suit for
him.
the next day at work. And I was like, and see, in a
Wow.
wordless fucking scene, we know exactly what we need to know about Morgan Freeman's character.
Mhm.
Yes. And
And-
he's so good in this movie.
he's
Ugh.
really
Really
incredible.
is. He
And
really
he's
is.
hat tipped to Danny Glover. He is 7 days from retirement. I am too
I
old
was
for this
gonna
shit.
say, I'm too old for this
I'm
shit.
too old for this shit. God, on last week's
Man.
episode, we were talking about like funny last words. You know, you're like, I'll be right back, you know, like whatever. And I was like, I think Jeffrey asked me, like, what are your last words? I'd be like, I'm too old for this shit is gotta be
1,000%.
Mhm.
my last words before I'm taken out by like a Nazi zombie
Yeah.
buried in the snow or something.
I would stick to my gluttony theme and say, I'm hungry, and then die.
I was told there'd be snacks.
Yes, I was told there would be cheesy bread.
So it's Morgan
okay.
It's Somerset's last week, but
Mhm.
it's Detective Mills's first day on the ground as the replacement.
Mhm.
We've got a little bit of like there, you know, it's the overlap. They're like, here, show the guy around.
And so Mills, Detective Mills, young babyface Brad Pitt, is he has given this role his all. And I think that is one of the most important things you can do as an actor, which is just to go all in. And I am so happy for him going all in this movie. And he is, I mean, he's we don't really ever know why, but he was very adamant about being transferred to this precinct in Helltown, USA. And Morgan Freeman is like, why
Yeah.
you want that? And does he answer the question? Does he ever really answer why?
I think he implies that he's like, I want to do good. There's like a scene where he literally is just like, I get it. I know this place is a fucking pit from hell, but there's something here. I want to do something bigger than me. It's never said
Mhm.
outright, but it's very implied that he's like, I want to do something good. I want to do something nice. And if it's coming to literally the gates of hell, then I'll do it here because it's the worst place and it would be the place that I could make the most impact, I think. But it's again, he never is like, because the statistics are like this, or because one time my dad said to me, son, go out there and be the best cop you can be. No, it's none of that. It's just an idea that's maybe floated by very simply.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, not that like a backstory is needed for these characters. We get a little bit here and there, I think, but I appreciate that it's left pretty vague. But this Brad Pitt Mills character is just so fucking testosterone broy
Yeah.
that it's
Yeah.
just like it feels less so about, at least to me, less so about like I need to do good in the world, and more so like he's like I'm not that new to my job, and he's only been doing it for about 5 years, which is not a lot of time. That's not a
Mm-mm.
lot
Yeah.
of fucking
Yeah.
time. And it's just like I know what I'm doing, and he wants to move here, and also as opposed to the wishes of his wife, who we will soon meet, he wants to move here because it feels more selfish to
Yeah.
me. I'm like, you
Like
want to do this
proving
for you,
something?
You
motherfucker.
want,
Yeah, to like
yeah.
he wants to prove that he's a man, that he can do it
Mm.
in the big city. His wife doesn't want to fucking come here. She hates it here, but he's like, no, I'm gonna do it. I gotta prove that like I have the balls to like make it in this gritty town. That's what it feels like to me, which
Yeah.
is really fucking frustrating.
I would even go farther and say I think it's because he's a people pleaser. Like, so we've got Morgan
Ooh.
Freeman, who's
Mm.
like,
Yes.
like stoic, I'm here to do the best job that I can do. Fuck your feelings. And then you've got Brad Pitt that's like he brings 2 cups of coffee. He's always trying to like get people to
Oh,
like
yeah.
him. He's always trying, like, he's emotional. He's the one who's like cracking a joke in order to, which is a very effective way to get what you want.
Yeah.
But I think he wants the accolades of like, I moved to the worst place on earth and I made that town my bitch,
Right.
Yes.
like he
Yeah.
wants everybody to be like, look at me, look how good. Like when we get to their apartment later, you notice on their mantelpiece is like a little tiny like first place prize ribbon that
Wow.
like Morgan
Says a
Freeman sort
lot.
of picks up and looks at. Like this is one of the first things they unpack. And I think it's Brad Pitt wants a first place ribbon.
Absolutely.
Like you went to the worst
Absolutely.
place on earth and you were a murder cop. So
Mhm.
murder
Sure.
detective. You
I
did
hope
it. First place. Boop.
I hope the little medal says first place in three-legged race.
That's it. It might be.
Police field day,
Potato
1993.
sack.
Yeah.
Potato
Oh,
sack.
God.
Egg and spoon.
Oh my God, egg and spoon, first place, 1993 field day. We let's talk about our first murder. This movie kind of gets right into it.
Yeah, they do.
Uh,
Yeah.
we are gonna start with Gluttony. Is our
Yeah.
first murder death.
Yeah, you're up.
Hell yeah.
Spaghettios for
Yes.
morning, noon, and night.
Ugh.
Oh my God.
Ugh.
I mean, I remember the first time I watched this movie when I was not into spooky horror shit at all.
Uh-huh.
And this first scene, it was so gross to me. Like I felt so not seeing this poor man face down in spaghetti. It was everything around him. Whoever
Yeah.
was the
God.
set designer, prop person on this film truly said, how can I make the rooms that these people are living in the most disgusting fucking shit that I can put them in?
Uh-huh.
And the cockroaches all over the
Oh
place.
yeah.
Oh, and then like seeing this man's skin extended, veiny, like you can, he was almost translucent. He's so stretched out, and like you can smell this room. The way
Yeah.
that they walk into that place, you're like, "Ugh, oh my God!" And so I think that's why this movie sticks so much with people, is that all these murder scenes that we go into are so visceral. Not
Uh-huh.
only the gross dirty ones, but even the clean fancy building ones, you're just like, I feel like it's happening to me. Like it's so
Yeah.
visceral. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
It's oh, go ahead, Cecil, please.
Oh, I was gonna say it's also like the lead up to what you're about. Like something is bad because we start way the fuck out on the street, and there's some poor beat cop who's like,
I can't do
You're
this."
not. You got to get ready for the. You're not gonna believe this." Also, I love that like everything in this movie is so like they can't get lights into any of this movie. Brad Pitt's
No.
flashlight does more acting in some of these scenes, which is so like you have to like squint your eyes, and it's just like it adds to that moodiness of it.
Yeah.
Totally.
So by the time you've actually like see the thing, you are well prepped. Just you're like, what's it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
Yeah.
Ugh.
And also, I love how you are so just like, what the fuck is going on here? This dude in his
Yeah.
with his face in a bowl of SpaghettiOs, whatever. But again, I'm just like, Morgan Freeman, you are an absolute beast because Brad Pitt is like a fucking puppy dog. Like, he won't shut
Uh-huh.
the fuck up. He's with his,
Yeah,
his
yeah, yeah.
flashlight is just like spouting a monologue. He's just going crazy in this space. But Morgan Freeman is so subtle and so good. And you're just like, look at him do his work in this scene where you see him putting this puzzle piece together where it makes sense to him that this was no accident. This was a carefully thought out murder. And one of my favorite parts of it is where he tells Brad Pitt to go like door to door to knock on
Oh,
doors.
yeah.
And Brad Pitt shines his fucking flashlight in his face, and Morgan Freeman just turns to him, lowers his spectacles, and is like, "Bitch, get the
Yeah.
fuck, like, go." I love this so much. It's too
Oh
good.
my god.
There's
It's-
also
oh,
did anyone else clock this, or am I making this up? Do all cops look alike? But there's the beat cop outside that Brad Pitt is that they're rude to, and then Brad Pitt hands him a cup of coffee. That's the same guy in every scene, right? Like, this is the guy who shows up over and over, right?
It
Oh.
seems like it.
He's
It
like the
Yeah.
only
Oh.
other cop on the force, right?
It's hard to
It
tell because
does.
everything's wet and they've got hats. You know, like
Yes.
everybody's so kind of buttoned up, which I think is also the anonymity. But it does kind of feel like it, right?
I hope it
Mm,
is. I hope they're just
interesting.
like, you, buddy, you're gonna get to say every extra cop line that we have. Like, just the
Hell yeah.
like, oh, look at this guy in this room, or like in the greed room, be like, that guy over there is doing so crazy. It's like, oh, I you know, it's just some New York actor being like, oh, boss, I gotta tell you, this is too much for my blood. And then he walks out of the scene, same guy all around.
Same
I
guy.
hope.
This feels like a Saturday Night Live character, like
Uh-huh.
Yes!
the too excited extra cop from Se7en.
Yes.
Best gig
Hey,
ever,
I don't
honestly.
know, but I think something crazy is going on up in there.
What's going on here? You just gave me a
God.
cup of coffee like nothing. I guess I'll go call my wife. Like, you're just like, dude.
Well, I know, like, once you start having a certain amount of speaking, maybe just a word.
Yeah.
Once you speak a sentence, like union rules, like your pay goes up.
You're in.
Uh-huh.
And so I think it's just a matter of like, well, we could pay this one guy all of the
Yeah.
money that's way
Yeah.
cheaper than paying 15 different
Featured
cops.
featured
Yeah, man.
extra.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe that's why crime. Listen, I don't mean to say more cops decreases crime, but if you only have one beat cop in your city, who knows? There could
That's
be.
Just
why-
give them all the lines. Give them all the lines.
That's
is what you're
why
saying.
this city is going down to shitter.
Because there's
that
only
one
4
guy-
cops in
That
the
one
entire
guy.
city is why.
Yeah.
I can't do the whole city, boss. I gotta walk
I'm drowning
around.
over here. I
can't
gotta
do
read these
it.
fucking letter. I gotta read these notebooks. You want me to read Dante's Inferno in 2 days? What the fuck? I'm only but one man. Oh
Unbelievable.
my God. I also like it's this thing of setting up that is he even dead? Like this is a question
Right.
even before they go in. And it won't happen this time, but it will happen in a later
Mhm.
one. They're like, "Did you take a pulse?" And they're like, "No, he's fucking dead. He's breathing SpaghettiOs over here."
Yeah.
And it's like, it wouldn't be the first time we've like approached a dead body and we found out it. So like
Ugh.
the system is crumbling. Like people
I-
aren't doing any part of their job efficiently except for Morgan Freeman.
And I think that's why
Yep.
we get that sweet cold open where we get that shitty cop. It's like, I think we're meant to feel Morgan Freeman is the only one who is ready and willing to do the job thoroughly and well. And he is surrounded by fucking idiots who don't know what they're fucking doing. And then here comes Brad Pitt, this fucking golden retriever puppy who's like, I'm ready. Let me fucking do the whole thing. And it's like Morgan Freeman is just like, not only am I surrounded by fucking idiots who don't know what they're doing, now I have to fucking babysit this fucking little shit that's gonna be pissing all over my crime scene. I'm trying to retire here. I'm too old for this shit.
I do appreciate that, like, they never actively like man fight. You know, like it never devolves into like pushing, shoving. Like this is not, you know,
Yes.
this is not like an 80s cop movie. This is a 90s cop movie. So everything is a bit more subtle. But I
Which
kind
is
of
why I
appreciate
think
that.
which is why I think your people pleasing thing is very true,
Mhm.
because Brad Pitt knows his boundary and he's not going to cross it. He's like,
Yeah.
I respect this man too much. I know he does a good job. I want to do a good job too, for praise, for whatever purpose, but specifically we know that he respects Morgan Freeman so much that he's never going to go above and like against what
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman has to say or do.
I also think Fincher is the toxic masculinity, to use that, this more like 21st century term, but I think Fincher is playing against the 80s cop movie action hero
Sure.
star, which is
Yeah.
where you would have a fight, which is where your hero would actually show his physical dominance over another man and we would celebrate it.
Sure.
And Brad Pitt's character, Mills, in this, his toxicity isn't really, I don't think Fincher was viewing it as toxic so much as you can't fix things just by wanting it hard enough.
Yeah.
You can't shoot your way out of everything. You can't
Totally.
punch your way out of everything. You cannot, sometimes you cannot defeat things. Y'all talked about it on your episode about When Evil Lurks, and I thought about that when I watched that movie too, which is a movie about you want something so hard and you cannot let go of it. Pearl is like that too.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yes.
I can get what I want if I just try hard enough. And Fincher is like, no, there are no amount of bullets, no amount of punches that will save the world.
You know, that's so interesting you say that, because when I finished this movie, I was like, what are we saying here? Like, what does this movie want to tell us? And I literally was like, respect your elders? Like, that's what I kind of came away
the
with.
silver lining.
Because as much as I agree that like Brad Pitt, Mills is a people pleaser and has respect for Somerset, he's a dick about it. Like, he's not
Totally.
nice to people. He is never, sure, he brings his cups of coffee, but it's like, like, yes, I agree that he respects Somerset, but he still, it's constantly like, I've been doing this for 5 years. Don't talk to me like I don't know what I'm doing. It's not, he's not bowing down to him. He is very much like, I am on your same level. And he doesn't come at it doesn't seem like he's coming at any of this from a place of respect. If anything, he's like, respect me. And which makes it even worse. Like, it's just like, he's not kind about it in any way. He's impatient, he's abrasive, he's hot-headed.
Yeah.
And Somerset the entire time is like, calm the fuck down. And no spoilers, but you should have fucking listened.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's seen this movie at this point, but I was just like, calmate. Calm the fuck down.
Uh-huh.
Well, like Morgan Freeman even says, he's like, I need you to look and listen. And that's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't need you to tell me stories about old cases. I don't need you to talk. Just look.
You don't have to
and listen.
Right. You don't have to prove yourself to me. Honestly, I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. But Brad Pitt cares, and he wants everybody to know. Or he cares about, like, that people know that he knows what he's doing. He's as smart as everybody else here. If anything, he thinks he's smarter. Oh my God. It's so funny to watch this. Like, I hadn't seen this in years. And years ago when I watched it, I was like, oh my God, Brad Pitt. Look at those baby blues. Look at that smooth tan chest. And now I'm like, dude, stop. Oh my God. So irritating.
How times have changed.
I know, right? Just a jaded old bitter bitch over here.
Uh-huh.
This is the first time, also, by the way, guys, this is the first time, or one of the few times, where I feel like I'm like, but he's nice and sweet. And Johnny's like, fuck that fucking bitch. Because usually it's the other way around.
God.
Usually Johnny's like, but let's take into consideration the feelings that they may be having. And I'm like, don't think so.
Well, to be fair, so I've always look, possible hot take. I haven't always been the biggest Brad Pitt fan. Yes, he is gorgeous to look at. Honestly, it wasn't until I saw him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that I was like, "Whoa, that was a great fucking performance."
Uh-huh.
But everything before that, I was like, it's fine for me. Like it's not. It's kind of whatever. But I will say, I do think he does a good job in this film. It is a
Uh-huh.
little overacted.
Uh-huh.
But he is a fascinating character,
Yeah.
and I think he gets more interesting once we introduce Tracy and the dogs.
Yeah.
Once that happens, I'm like,
Absolutely.
give
Yeah.
me Tracy and the dogs all day.
Yeah. Well, let's get to murder number 2, greed.
Oh.
I giggled out loud at this prop here, the way they set this up, which is the tabloid newspapers on the rack with these.
Yes.
They didn't
Yeah.
even really try to capture the spirit of a tabloid headline other than it's just big and bold. But I think one of them says, high-end defense attorney found murdered in office. And I'm like, that's not how the New York Post writes anything. I'm sure there is no, like, let's get something.
Wait,
Try and find the New York Post version of it.
Yes.
Lawful,
but it's so expositioning.
lawful, false, murdered and
yeah,
something horrible like that.
Yeah.
Oh my
But
god.
It just sort of cracks me up that it's just full exposition. But it's noir. Like, just get to the point and keep it moving is what
I would also like to point out, I found this on the trivia page. These smaller articles say housekeeper held hostage by child's possessed gerbil, 3 days of terror.
Okay.
Another headline.
Fincher!
Because David Fincher. And another one says neighbor's beagle scares teen, cures 8-year bout with hiccups.
Wow.
Oh my God. Honestly, love that. I love it. I think that's great. But also, I thought this was a great transition. Give us that ridiculous headline that tells us everything. Boom.
Yeah.
On to the next.
Murder.
We get it.
Move.
Yeah.
Let's move.
He wrote greed on the floor in blood. There's a body.
The first murder was so shadowy and dark and grimy. This one is luxury murder uptown.
Yeah.
Very
it's
public,
very public. Yeah.
This is the I don't know what they said, but the lawyer of town. Like everybody knows fucking Elliot Gould. This murder,
which by the way, I was like, Elliot Gould is
like Elliot Gould?
Yeah,
like The Long Goodbye.
I think it's Eli Gould they call him, but I'm like, didn't legal say? But it is so close to Elliot. Like, surely legal was like, can we name him Ari? Can we name him Dave?
Yeah, no,
can we name him Richard, Doug?
Yeah,
no.
But this
Eli
murder,
Gould.
all these murders are absolutely fucked up. But this one is so scary because this lawyer was trapped in here over the weekend.
Yeah.
Nobody was gonna come for him.
No.
It's just so like that's what I always often think about in these movies. Also, you don't really see murder in this film. You just see the aftermath.
Yeah.
And like your brain putting together like what actually happened. Like this lawyer knew there's no escape. Nobody's coming for me. Ooh, this gives me chills.
Yeah.
It's so fucking scary.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Johnny. The idea that you don't actually see the murders; it's hearing them described. And last month on our Patreon, we covered Nightmare on Elm Street 3: Dream Warriors.
Yes,
which is an overtly violent film. Like, you see the murders, you see the creative deaths, but there is one scene early on where psychiatrist man is describing to Nancy what's been happening with the kids at this hospital, and he said one of the kids cut off his own eyelids. They never show it. There's no flash to this child. That was one of the most viscerally disturbing scenes of the movie, even though I didn't see a thing. The murders in this movie, when they start describing what he put these people through, it's awful.
Your brain does the rest. Your brain and your brain will always make it 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Oof.
This murder is so like this sort of like Shakespeare inspired murder.
Wait, hang on just a second, y'all.
I was like, he'll come back any minute now.
Hello.
Jeffrey is the host
Okay.
now.
Oh, great.
Should we clap again?
Okay.
No. It's gonna.
Okay.
We're gonna be okay. I think we're gonna be fine because I'm still
Okay.
recording. If
Okay.
y'all are still recording, that will
Yes.
all
Yeah.
Yeah.
sync up time wise. I think I just had internet outage over here, so I am now running this through my hotspot.
Oh,
That's
okay.
how we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
You got this, Jeffrey.
I
Yeah.
got it. All right.
So I was saying that there's a strong connective tissue between this movie and Saw. Like this is like the thinking man's Saw. The like let's put people in impossible situations that are morality tales that are also gruesome. Like you're the worst lawyer ever, supposedly. So we're gonna put
I'm
you in a
so glad.
vaguely law themed Shakespeare reference.
Mhm.
Even
Totally.
though Shylock was a
A
lawyer, but
game.
we're not gonna get into that here, But it's tight.
It is. We just covered Saw X on Uy Que Horror, and as I was watching this movie just the other night, I was like, "This is fucking Saw," but
It's
like
totally
fancy
Saw.
Saw, fancy
Yeah.
Saw,
But
you know?
brainy
Fancy
Saw. Yeah,
Saw.
like fancy Saw.
Yeah.
Legit.
So the one thing about this movie that I'd forgotten is how long it is, and it is a it moves at its noir pace when it's noir, but it's
Yeah.
David Fincher, so we have a lot of long conversations about why are we like this. Like this is a proto Zodiac as well,
Yeah.
which would come out about 10,
Yeah.
12 years later.
Yeah.
Which is Zodiac is again kind of about how futile it is to try to understand anything in this world. And that's kind of what this movie is kind of playing at, just more stylized, more graphic. But we do have a lot of these like conversations in and around like, Captain Arlie Ermy being like, I don't understand why you want to leave this job, Somerset. Like you're made for it. Like that sort of conversations. And then we get 5-10 minutes here and there throughout this film about why do we do anything? What even matters?
Yeah.
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 And
Let's
then we're
sit in
back
the
to here's the
library and meet like with the security guys that are just like, hey buddy, you're gonna miss us when you're done with this, and like, is your purpose, are you sure you want to let go of your purpose? Like look how good you are at your job, and like you're made to solve everyone's problems, yet you go home and have to sleep with a metronome because you're haunted by it constantly. And like finally he's taking something for himself. I'm finally gonna move upstate. I'm gonna like try maybe get a house, a farm, whatever. Poor Morgan Freeman holding on to dreams that he's like, maybe finally I'm ready to get the fuck out of this hellhole. And everybody else around him being like, yeah, buddy, but this is you. This is you. You're gonna deny the fact that this is you? You're crazy. But okay, if you think that that's what's gonna do it. And he's like, I'm hell-bent. Sure, I like reading in the library. Sure, I like finding little connections. Sure, I'm really good at what I do. But at the end of the day, with my metronome, I still hold hope that I'll be able to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And
Well,
and
it's
spoiler alert, he can't.
Yeah.
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 It's interesting.
Like, it's true.
Bringing that up about like the scenes that it's like they're kind of some of the scenes are repetitive about like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? What are you still doing here? I honestly didn't like. There were maybe a couple that I was like, we could do without that. Like, we got it. We don't really need this. But then again, I'm so glad you brought up that library segment, because I think that stuff is really needed. That you do see Somerset in a library, and he literally says to those guys who are having a delightful time playing poker or whatever the fuck they're doing. It's nice to see those guys laughing and playing poker and listening to classical music. It's a quick moment of like lightness, if you will, in this film. But also, Somerset literally is like, you're in a world of books and you don't even read them to the guys who were playing the game, which to me, I was like, oh, he likes to read. That's his escape. You know,
Yeah.
that like it
Yeah.
says so much about him that he's like, that is something nice for him that you're just like, you like being here. You like being in this library. You like reading. Thank God we know that there's something that might like bring a moment of peace to this man's life. And also, at the library, he's doing a favor for Mills. Nobody
Yes.
asked him
Mhm.
to do that.
Yeah.
He went there and was like, I will do all this. Also, because this other fucking guy is a dumbass, like, I'm going to help him out.
Yeah.
He doesn't
Like, I'm
fucking
going to
know.
make him his Cliff Notes for him, essentially.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which I was like, sweet. What a
Yeah.
sweet man. You know?
And also
Love
the
that.
juxtaposition of Somerset going through like Divine Comedy, Canterbury Tales, like all these classics, and then it cuts to Mills at home and he's just watching like a Nets game. Like it's just he's just got basketball on.
Totally.
Oh,
And
man,
later
yes.
when Somerset tells him, "Here's notes. I took notes for you of everything to read up on." He gets crazy mad about having to try and read this shit, so he sends an assistant out
Yeah.
to buy him Cliff's Notes.
I think he says like this Dante faggot poetry, and you're
Yes.
like,
Yes.
oh, which honestly, listen, like it's split the difference. That's the thing, is that like you're on a murder case, you're a cop, you don't need to read Dante's you don't need to read the
We
Divine
don't have
Comedy.
time.
No, you
Yeah.
don't. You need a college professor that can explain the Inferno to you in like 30 minutes,
Yes.
20 minutes,
Totally.
10 minutes, 5 minutes.
Yeah, on an elevator.
On an
Yeah.
elevator. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
you need a debrief. Which, you know, so like the Cliff Notes thing, I was like, you know what? Actually, good for you. That's effective time management.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. And also, I will say, I know this movie was made in the 90s. Saying faggot in the movie, you know, back then was like not that big of a deal. But as a gay man, I'm just like, I just not you. Like I have to think a little bit less of you, even
Yeah.
though it's 1990, whatever. And I can't help it. Now I'm just like, nah, fuck
Yeah.
you. I don't like you. I just
It's
don't like you very
so
much.
jarring when he says that.
It is. It's just like, ugh. And
Or-
I have to like put myself back in the position like,
Yeah.
this was made in 1990,
1995.
whatever.
Yeah.
He
It
also
also-
does a
Oh
thing
my
where
God.
he like leans over a desk and he's
Yes.
like, "This is what this guy's doing to us. He's fucking us up the butt." And I'm like,
I'm like, ugh,
buddy.
God.
But it's
Also,
that
I
frat.
love-
He's
uh-huh.
the like captain of the frat house energy.
Yeah.
The like
exactly.
I
So, like,
I
that
can't
works.
handle big feelings, so I'm just gonna make a joke.
Yeah.
And you can
about
reduce
it.
it to
Gay
this one
shit
word.
is fucking
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm also so glad that you mentioned the Nets game or whatever, like the fact that he's listening to basketball because or listening to basketball.
Sure.
Yes,
Watching a
listening to
basketball game,
basketball.
listening to it. Because did you guys clock the basketball hoop and basketball tie that he wears in this film?
No.
One of his
really?
No!
ties? Oh my God. I was like, that tie says everything I need to know about Mills. But also, to give Brad Pitt a little bit of credit, I found out in trivia that he actually
Picked all his
picked the
ties.
ties.
Yes. Because he
for this
wanted it to
film?
be like the worst of like
Also,
dopey
his
straight boy
shirts
fashion.
are like
Yeah.
3 times too big for him.
And always
I was
wrinkled.
like, always a mess. And I'm like,
Always a mess.
this. I appreciate that. Like, it seems like Brad Pitt knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a
even though I'm
character.
mad at
He
him.
created a character.
He
Yeah.
did.
He
It-
did.
I think the character he created is more aligned with our public persona of who Brad Pitt is, or
Mm.
who we perceive the person.
Mhm.
Therefore, it doesn't look like he's acting as much as, say, Morgan Freeman, who's like doing his Morgan Freeman thing,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. But I think that like it's a subtle performance he's giving sometimes.
Make smart
Sometimes,
choices.
yeah.
Sometimes
Not
it's
all the
what's in the
time.
box.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's that. But he saves
is
that for
making
the end, at
interesting
least.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
choices.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, you can definitely see like kind of he has so much like raw but inconsistent talent. He's starting to find his
Yes.
voice as an actor. Like he's
Yeah.
starting to feel like
Mhm.
Brad Pitt actor as opposed to
Leading
Brad
man.
Pitt celebrity doing choices in a movie. And he's yeah, it's just we all have a different journey. And I think from the get-go, He was all in. When he was in a movie, he was all in. And he has another thing that I think is so valuable, especially for like just anybody. He knows who he is. Like he knows that he's this like
Mhm.
gorgeous, broy, almost meathead type. And
Surfer,
Yes.
like,
surfer bro.
let's play it. Let's play it. Let's understand that.
I'm so glad you said that we all have a journey, Jeffrey, because we are all performers here, literally
Uh-huh.
all of us.
Yeah.
And we've all been on stage or being filmed or something where we're like, ooh, that was the wrong fucking choice. Oh God, I just like felt it in my bones. Like,
Mhm.
ooh, that was bad. So like, we've been there. We know
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Gwyneth?
Yes. Oh, let's get to
Please.
dinner time.
Gwyneth.
Gwyneth and the dogs. Gwyneth and the Weimaraners.
The only
Oh.
and I read, I think, in the trivia where David Fincher was like, she's meant to be the only sunshine in this film, and it's so true. Listen, do I love Gwyneth Paltrow? No, I think I have now been very much clouded by Goop, and that's all very like taken over my idea of her. But you look at 90s Gwen, and you're like, 90s Gwen was really, really good. She was
She was
really
swinging
good.
for the stalls back then.
And I mean, and not for nothing,
Oh my
but for
God.
me, the relationship that I love the most in this film is her and Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Her and
Yes.
Morgan Freeman together, I'm like, the fact that she's the one that invites him over to dinner, the fact that she's the one facilitating this like actual connection between Somerset and Mills. She's the one that's like, I know my husband at home wants so badly to make this life for us. He wants to be this detective. I know it. But I know that there's something stopping him, whether it's broy pride, whether it's I need to prove myself. She knows him at his most like sweet and good that she wants to believe he is. And she's like, he's too much pride there. Pride, quite
Hey.
literally one
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
sins,
Uh-huh.
for him to be able to reach out to this older man who is probably a stubborn and, in his ways. Hey, buddy, want to come over for dinner? She knows exactly what she's fucking doing. And then when she brings this charm, this light, I want to get to know you, Somerset. Why were you never married? Oh, that sounds like she's so welcoming and loving. And you're just
my
like,
God.
finally,
Yeah.
in this film filled with darkness, with rain, with fucking just a metronome muting my horrible city, finally somebody is asking me about me. And
Yes.
Morgan is like, Shh, well, yes. And the fact that he's pretty forthcoming about it, and he's like, sure, I was maybe almost married once, and sure, this all other stuff. You're like, she is a way for us to get to know these men in an easier, more caring and thoughtful way. And without her, you'd just be like, ugh, I'm so frustrated about men. You know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah.
I love that phone call that she
The
calls
one-sided
Brad
phone call.
Pitt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that you hear her, but you can't hear what she's saying when she's talking to Morgan, to Somerset, and you can tell that she's like, "Please come to dinner. I won't take no for an answer." Because then he's
Yeah.
like, "Well, in that case, I'd be delighted." Which, first of all, I love that she's like, "Please, please
Mhm.
come."
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You don't
Yeah.
know that she says that, but I love that, and also that this is a gentleman. He's like, "I would be delighted." Old school gentleman, and when they show up for dinner and she opens the door. These men have been working together for like what, 2, maybe 3 days now, and she's like, "I'd like to introduce you to each other."
Yeah.
Yes.
Gold. I was
Yes.
like, I laughed out loud. I was just like, "That's perfection."
Because
Like,
we
this is
learn
a smart,
William and David.
sensitive
Yeah, we
woman.
learned their
William
actual
and
first names.
David.
Yeah.
How
You know, like
amazing.
talking about how bleak this movie is, I found myself thinking a lot about the balance of like the 7 deadly sins, but also the 7 virtues, which I'm not, too Catholic-y, but like I was like,
No,
there is a balance there. And I think we get
Mhm.
all of those virtues in these scenes in which
Mm.
Gwyneth Paltrow, or like Tracy and Somerset, Tracy and Mills, even, that like there is goodness, it's just much quieter
Uh-huh.
Mm.
and only happens in this shitty little apartment.
Yeah.
It's like kind of the refuge of the virtues. But they still have to be there, or else we're just so inundated with the bleakest fucking film ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
Can
sure.
can I also bring out one other thing from this scene that really stood out to me? Was okay, so these beautiful dogs. I don't really know like much about like dogs' needs or anything, but these Weimaraners are not Weimaraners? Is that what they're
I
called?
think they're Weimaraners. This scene
There's
is so
definitely
dark.
one Weimaraner.
Yes.
They're not,
Which-
but there are like 3 dogs. Three
Big dogs.
Two
And they-
dogs?
Well, these
Three.
but they
Three?
there
Oh
are
my
there
God.
are big dogs in here, which I was like, this again says so much about Mills to me that
Yeah.
he is not only willing to bring his gorgeous wife Tracy, who does not want to leave upstate wherever the hell we are to come to the horrible city.
Who's like an elementary school
also-
teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah, she teaches 5th fucking grade, and also to also your dog. Your not. This is not a small dog. These
No,
are
Three
this is not an
big-ass
apartment dog.
dogs.
These are not even
when
one
they-
of those would be an
not e-
apartment dog.
No.
Yeah.
Like, you're willing to bring your dogs here and you're going to shut them up into a room covered with newspaper on the floor all day? Sir, no. This is not the move.
So you can win
He
Best
even-
Cop of the Year
That's why I'm like,
award.
this is selfish.
Mhm.
He even
Ugh.
calls them their kids when he
Yeah.
walks in. He's like,
Yeah.
"How are the kids?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you shove your kids into a small
Mhm.
room
Yeah,
covered in
come on.
newspaper." Okay,
Yeah.
buddy.
And
Said,
like the
"Good luck
dogs,
to your
when they
wife."
see him, they're like bouncing. They're so happy. They're like, please take me to the dog park.
I
Let
know,
me run
right?
through the streets. I don't care that it's raining. Ugh, I felt so bad for these.
And the large dogs, 2 or 3 of them, like I immediately thought the same thing about these poor dogs in here. But it suggests that they moved from the suburbs. It
Yeah.
suggests that they moved from a place with a yard
Mhm.
that was
Again, remember,
Yeah.
he asked
Yes.
to come here,
yeah.
motherfucker.
You know, sometimes you jump into the deep end and you
Uh-huh.
don't realize
Woo.
how deep the deep end is until
That's
you're in
very
the deep end.
true.
Yeah.
And you're
He
like,
pulled
oh
his
fuck.
nose, he
I
was just like,
yeah.
bam, I'm
Yeah.
going in.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Also,
There's-
the train going. Has anybody ever lived in one of those apartments that like you could like reach out your window and touch the train? I have.
No.
Is
I
this
have
the
not.
Raisin in the Sun train? Like that? Is that which play am I thinking of? Where the train is running by the apartments
Is
the whole
it?
time?
Is it Raisin
That
in the
Raisin in the
Sun?
Sun? I'm trying to remember. I don't know.
Can't
It's some
recall.
I don't know.
classic
I
play,
should
but
know
there's
this. We
that's
should know
part of the
this.
set piece that
But I
that-
legit
yeah.
lived off of the JMZ, and it was
Oh my
so
God.
close to my
Oh,
apartment
shit.
window
Wow.
that like you could reach your hand out of the window, and it was, and actually it didn't shake the apartment, which wasn't bad, but it was very loud.
Yes.
And we would always,
Dang.
me and my roommates would always like cheers or take a toke whenever we were like, oh, cheers.
Love
We'd do like,
that.
we were
Uh-huh.
like, oh, the train's going by. We got to do shots, you know.
Just
Amazing.
wasted every day.
all day, every
9
I
to
was,
5.
I was living with a punk rock band. It was a wild
Oh,
time.
sure.
It was
Yeah.
a wild time.
Love that.
Good times.
I live on a cross street, like a narrow cross street that is also a bus route. So
Oh,
every night,
Buses
sure.
are, buses are worse than trains any day.
well, the problem is it's not the bus. Well, the buses are making the noise, but what's happening is somebody gets DoorDash. The person pulls over into the bike lane, which blocks everything else
bus.
except a compact sedan from passing. And then they're
Wow.
gone for 5 minutes and the bus pulls up. And it's usually not the bus, it's everyone else behind the bus just
Oh my
laying on
God.
their horns.
Yeah.
So I was related. It doesn't, like you said, Cecil, it's not shaking the building, but it's just deafening every night at dinner. Because
And it's also like
somebody ordered DoorDash.
every 30 minutes. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, it's going to happen again.
Yeah.
And again
Yes.
and again.
In San
Also, you're
Francisco.
dealing-
Sorry,
Sorry,
Johnny,
go,
you
go,
go.
go.
Oh,
No, please,
mine
please, go ahead.
mine is just a little story. In San Francisco, whenever I go to stay with my cousin, they live right off of the 6 line, if there's any San Francisco friends out there. And the 6 is an electric bus. So they have these like little sticks that come out of the
Uh-huh.
end, and then they attach to like electric stuff in the on the seal.
Yeah, they're like kind
whatever.
of like electric cable cars, right?
Yeah. I don't know how to explain it, but they live right in the corner where the bus like turns to go up a hill, and so many fucking times the poles come undone from the wires, so the bus has to stop. It's this whole like
Whoa.
it's so many sounds and electricity. Like you constantly see sparks going off when because the bus drivers have to like pull, connect, do all this shit. I'm like, guys, are you okay?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that same vibe where you're just like, here I am having dinner, having to hear the Muni driver have to connect the bus back to the electricity.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say that I think Jeffrey, you mentioned that people are parking in the bike lane. Did you
Uh-huh.
say that?
Yeah.
So I live in DC and I bike around everywhere, but bike lanes in New York City are no fucking joke.
No
Like,
joke.
you New Yorkers will take people out. I remember
Uh-huh.
one of the first times that I experienced the wrath of the bike lane was when I went to New York for a yoga training in 2015. I stayed with Aileen.
Hello.
And I was in Brooklyn and it was the summer and I was just like, I have 2 weeks of a yoga training in front of me. I'm so happy.
Uh-huh.
And all of a sudden I just hear, bike lane, asshole. And I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Little did I know I'm standing in a bike lane. So I'm assuming not only are you dealing with the wrath of, your Uber Eats,
Mhm.
your bus that's trying to get to where they're trying to go, you're also dealing with people in the bike lane being like, move the fuck out of the way.
Yeah.
So it's just too much. It's just too much.
Yeah. I was so glad to be back in New York City when I watched a bunch of cyclists and pedestrians yell at the guy who got back into his car that had backed up my street for a good 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And there was a guy on a
Yes.
bike being like, an ambulance tried to get fucking down this street. Get the fuck out of here. And everyone was just yelling at this man who was like
Public
looking around like,
shaming.
what did I
New
do?
York!
Yeah, I know. Public
It's New York, you
shaming
double
is a
park.
thing.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
All
I would
right.
It's a
say
hell
now
of a
I
town.
I am that biker that is like, bike lane asshole, get the fuck out of my
Yeah.
Oh,
way.
sure.
Absolutely.
I have become that man. Ugh, I apologize.
Well, let's talk about the other side of Gwyneth and Morgan, because not only do we have this dinner, but not long after that, she contacts him to say, hey, can you just meet me for breakfast? I got to talk through
I
some
know.
bullshit. And which was kind of the thing with having him over for dinner to begin with, right? Which is that I need a friend. I got to have somebody to talk to.
And you look like, and after having dinner with you, it seems like you might need a friend as well.
Totally.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know what? It's so brave to do that. Making friends as an adult is one of the hardest fucking things to do. If you're, of course, after a pandemic where you're like, I'm just used to staying home now and meeting people. What?
Yeah.
But the fact that she's like, you're the only, and he's so hesitant. He's like, I may not be the person you want to fucking talk to, dude. And she's like, you're the only person I know in this godforsaken city.
Yeah.
So the fact that
Heartbreaking.
she's just like, and I can't talk to my husband about it. That she is like, I know that he came here for a reason, that he wanted to fulfill something of his. I had to give up something of my own, which was my life in the suburbs with my dogs teaching 5th grade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now, surprise, surprise, I have to bring a fucking child into this fucking pit of hell. Okay. And not only that, but now my husband is fully neck deep into like a murder
Like
case.
the worst murder.
Right.
Like serial killer vibes. And how is this ray of sunshine, the literal film's ray of sunshine, meant to keep being this sunshine when it's begun to happen to her now? She is now getting muted and covered by this new life she has. And what do I do? How do I let my husband know that this isn't for fucking me? And sweet Morgan Freeman is like, honey, I can't help you.
Yeah. I can say I can be a friend. I can tell you my backstory. It's really interesting thinking about like Gwyneth Paltrow's or Tracy's sublimation of like Like, she's like, all these good things that she's like, you know what? I'm going to put this on hold and we're going to follow Mills's dream for like, we're going to be the uncomfortably large dogs in the small apartment.
Right.
And the weird parallel that is to like the John Doe murders of like
Yeah.
sublimating sin into other people.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I found it really interesting. She's like,
Yeah.
what? I'm stuck here. And literally she starts to cry when he says to her, I don't know if you're going to have this baby, but don't ever tell him if you did like this is the worst thing.
But
He's
then
like, I wish that I had made different choices. As in, I wish I had gotten out of the game,
yeah.
retired, or found a less intense job with my wife and my kid 20 years ago.
And the fact that she starts
Damn it.
something, you have a little teeny ounce of hope in there that you're creating. And if you're choosing to go through with it, you better make it work, girl. Hold on to it for as much as you can, because this city is gonna fucking bring you down.
Yeah.
Which is that's needed in this film. This little
Yeah.
diner sequence is so heartbreaking and beautiful and well acted, but like
Yeah.
that shows that even for Somerset, that he's got like a glimmer of hope in there where he's like, if you do have this baby, spoil it, be good
Yeah.
to it, make
Yeah.
it happy. Like that
Love
is still a
it so
possibility
hard.
for you. But also in this whole thing made me think, like, what does Tracy know? Like, does she know about the murders? What does Mills share with her, you know? Which no spoilers, but regarding what happens later in this film, I'm like, how much was she aware of? Which is
It seems like, because there's a
terrifying
couple
thought.
shots where like whenever they start talking about the case at the apartment, you see him like close the door.
Yeah.
She's asleep.
It does seem very
She's in bed.
compartmentalized.
Yeah.
And
I
even
agree.
when
Honestly-
no,
Sorry.
Johnny, you
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that when Morgan Freeman comes to dinner, she says she's like shocked to see him having his guns on him, and he
Yeah.
has to remind her, "Oh, don't worry, I won't have these on at dinner." And she's like, "As much as
Yes.
I've seen guns and lived with a cop, I'm still shocked by it." So like maybe he's not as forthcoming about these. I mean, how could you be? How could you come home and be like, well, honey, today I went into a room where a man literally exploded from eating too much.
Mhm.
Also,
This is
I
case
went
number one, by the way.
This is case number one.
Day one.
I've just gone to another home where there's a man who's been in bed for fucking 100 days. You should have seen the state of him, dear. It's
Yeah.
I think
quite a mess.
I wouldn't be surprised if this character asked Mills not to tell her. Like, I wouldn't be like, she seems like the person to me that she's like, I love you, I support you in everything you do, not a peep. I don't
Pop stuff.
hear it.
Leave it at work.
Yeah.
Please. Like,
Oh.
leave it outside. And if you're
Yeah.
gonna talk about it in here with your partner, close the door. I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
You know?
Or probably what ultimately David Mills needs is somebody to actually say, how are you feeling? Just how do you do you want to talk about what you saw today at all? Just to
yeah.
not because I need to know about your case, because I need to know about you.
Yeah.
Which
Right.
none of that shit is going to be in this movie at all. Like,
Of
we're not
course.
like, tell me about your feelings.
No, because it has to build.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I say this all the time as a writer, like, never have
Yeah.
your characters communicate directly. In real life, communicate, talk about feelings, ask questions. Don't have your
Please.
characters do that because your movie will be boring as shit.
Yeah.
So we get to the heart of our greed case. I'm not going to get into the ins and outs just for time reasons of like how they solve like the gluttony is written behind the refrigerator. You know, they have to go
In
talk
fact.
to Elliot Gould's wife to find out that she has
The
to
painting
look
is
at
your modernist
painting is
art is upside down.
It's
Yeah.
a lot of
Okay.
escape room bullshit happening to solve this case.
It is a bit. Yeah.
And anyways, they learn that, they find fingerprints on the wall, which lead us, the fingerprints were done by this other guy whose name I did not write down, but they're like, that's our man. This guy's got a Victor, that's his name. Victor's got a
Victor.
rap sheet. He once got off scot-free without being charged for assaulting a girl, and his lawyer was Eli Gould. So it all ties together. Let's go get this guy.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Full SWAT team running
know,
into
right?
this man's apartment.
Intense.
And they batter down the door. Aileen, you said earlier about like in the Gluttony scene, like you could almost like smell this. The number of like tree-shaped air fresheners, new car smell, black ice, whatever your scent of choice is, are just hanging from the ceiling like stars in the sky, and it is haunting. What's worse than the smell of poo
Tasting
or
it.
vomit is smelling
cover it up.
somebody covering it up
Yeah.
with fucking
Yeah.
Febreze. Febreze over the smell of vomit is the worst.
Oh my God.
Ugh.
Yeah, that Fabuloso, recent Fabuloso cleaned vomit smell. Oh.
Poopery, that's just fucking poo smell with fucking some other shit.
Oh my
Yeah.
God,
sprayed on top
poopery.
of it.
How did we all fall for poopery for like a full decade?
I
Don't fall
have a
for it.
poopery in my bathroom, and I don't do because there's a whole process. Do it before. I'm not
Yeah, you
gonna
gotta do it before.
remember
Yeah.
before.
I gotta go.
I do it as just a regular air
Oh,
spray.
okay.
Yeah.
Random Horror 9 is brought to you by Poopery.
Poopery.
We'd like to thank our sponsors of the show.
Poo.
But
That's our new tagline.
this guy
But this guy's
yeah,
alive. Oh no.
This is a
my God.
great jump scare.
Oh,
Truly,
it's so
the
good.
First time, again, back to when I first saw this movie, I was like,
Yeah.
I had a bump in the head from jumping so high and hitting the ceiling. Holy fucking shit. Because again, whoever did the set dresser prop person get an Oscar, because they should have. That fucking room, the bed sores on this body,
Oh, God.
the lips being so far from the teeth, horrifying.
The makeup in this film on this corpse,
Truly,
we're
on
not even
this
a corpse yet, but like
living corpse.
yeah, living
Jesus.
corpse. It is a living corpse. But the fact that they kind of like lull you in with that dickhead SWAT team guy who's like,
Yeah.
"Serve dead," which I was like, "Sir,
Sir.
wow."
Yeah.
I mean, sure, I get it. But at the same time, I was like, "Oh, let's lean in real close."
I know. Like you're gonna whisper
before
that in
you
his fucking
scare
ear.
the
Ugh.
shit out of us.
Can you also imagine the horrible
smell.
stank of breath that came off that man that was like,
Mummy like.
Oh,
Very
Yeah.
mummy like.
Yes. Death stank.
oh,
So
that-
then from there we learn we can bend the rules. Morgan Freeman has a plan. Morgan Freeman is gonna
Right.
it's like, okay, this guy is knocking us all over the court. What if we go to the library card, the library gambit?
library.
yeah. Well, he
Uh-oh.
contacts Mr. Slimy, who is some former
FBI
FBI, current
agent?
FBI
right?
guy who like will get you.
Yeah.
So he says, the FBI keeps not a banned book, but a flagged book list, which is, I love this. I don't know if this is true, but it feels 100% true. That the idea that
Listen, I'm definitely on a list from just website stuff that I'm looking
Sure.
for.
Yeah.
There's no, I can, if you're the internet now, we're
Well,
all on a list.
The Freedom of Information Act would come out like a few years later, and that would literally make this premise absolutely true.
Yeah, there's
not
no
Freedom
way
of
that
Information Act. That was like 60s, like that was 1950s.
Oh, is it?
That was allowing press to access government documents. You're thinking of yeah, I know what you're talking about. But yeah, it was essentially the Patriot Act.
That
Yes.
Patriot Act. Either
I mean,
way,
especially
totally
us looking
believable.
up- like us being horror fans, some of the horror shit that I have to look up sometimes, I'm like, oh dear God, please
Yeah.
don't let
On a
anybody
list.
be
On
tracing this
a
right now.
list.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I have
One
to look
day
up
I'm
what
gonna
a
get to the
Geely saw
airport.
was the other day.
Yes.
Oh my God.
One day I'm
Why?
gonna
Why
get
would I
to
look
the
that up?
airport and they're gonna be like, "Ma'am, you can't fly. You're on a no-fly list. You recently looked up Augusto Pinochet, and we know that
Yeah.
you're included
That's
in
it.
something."
Yeah.
Or like you've looked up child corpse too many times on
Yes.
Google.
Exactly.
You can't get in.
You can't go.
Mm-mm. So yeah, that's how they're gonna track John Doe. That's how they get back this list of people who checked out these books, and they narrow it down to a man named Jonathan Doe,
Oh
which
dear.
is very it's very odd to me. I don't, because they don't really question, like, if I'm a police investigator and a man's name is Jonathan Doe, I'm like, well, he's definitely fucking with us.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm like, you guys, that's him. I'm like,
That's
hello.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now here's
Like Morgan
the
Freeman,
point where
hello.
here's the point where I'm gonna like ask some questions about this script that I have questions here.
Mhm.
So
Uh-huh.
okay, so John Doe was a intelligent, independently wealthy, upper middle class citizen who then kind of created this John Doe persona to commit these murders, right? He like turned the curve and he's like
Mhm.
carving off his fingerprints and he
Uh-huh.
starts this 7 deadly sins murder thing. So at this point, Somerset and Mills throw a wrench into his plans because, as we said, he's like, oh, I've got to move up my timeline, because you found my secret hideout. What if they had not found him? Who would have been Wrath? Like, if he had not discovered Mills, who would have been that murderer?
Yeah.
Because
So
we
I
know that like
Uh-huh.
at least one of the like these are all planned years in advance. So it makes no sense that it's like being like, I'm gonna do 6 of the 7 deadly sins and just leave the last one as a funsy.
Yeah.
We'll just pick somebody in the last minute.
I had the same question because I was like, either John Doe was obsessed with Mills from the beginning, and this was his way of like getting to that point,
Mm-hmm.
or he was like, I'm just gonna do this 7 deadly sin situation. Whatever cop that is
Okay.
assigned
Yeah.
to this gig, I'll just fingers crossed
Yeah.
that one of the cops has
I-
like a pretty nice wife and a nice life.
I get a
And
hot
if
head.
that's
Yeah.
exactly. So fingers crossed, one of the
Okay.
cops that I get
Okay.
has a nice family and happens to be a douche bro Magoo.
Yeah.
And then my plan will be perfect. It's either that or one day he's like, this man David Mills, his life is so nice and I love it and I'm so envious. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do 7 deadly sin themed murders.
Yeah. I think I
Well,
agree,
yeah.
Eileen. I think he is doing a full he's yes-anding the whole process, because the
Yeah.
fact that Sloth took a full year to do means
Yeah.
David Mills didn't even live in the city.
No.
Right.
And so he would have had
Right.
no control over, even if he was obsessed with suburban cop David Mills from Westchester County,
Which seems
he's not,
unlikely. Yeah.
which is unlikely that he wouldn't have been able to program him all the way there. I think it doesn't matter. He would have found somebody like this who writes manifestos, who preaches around conspiracy or whatever. He's always just going to find a way to make it fit his own narrative.
Right.
I believe Morgan
think-
Freeman at the end
yeah.
of like, you're just psychotic. You will just
Mhm.
find a thing to want to do your violence. You enjoy this too much and you think you're called upon by the Lord to do it, but that's
Right.
a later framing. You already want to
Yes.
kill.
Well-
You just found something that justifies it.
Yeah, we need
Sure.
to remember that like this man enjoys murder. Like this
Yeah.
is he might have like this like moral high ground kind of thing where he's like, I'm doing this for a specific reason. Remind you all that like you all are not grateful, whatever the fuck. But he's a fucking brutal, sadistic killer.
Mm-hmm.
I there's in my mind, there's no way that he did not have this planned out to the end, and this is the wrench in his plan. So I think there are, what is it, 2 other victims at this point that just got lucky. Like they didn't
Oh,
know that they
yeah.
were part of something.
Okay, that he had been
it's just
tracking, following, or stalking.
had- I think
Prepping.
he had a plan to the very end. I'm sure whatever it was going to be huge and like very, very impactful. However, this presents itself and he has to like, he's got to kind of maneuver around, but then he discovers like, oh, I can really make this work. But I don't think he knew, just like y'all mentioned, Mills hasn't been here for a long time. He's new
Right.
to town. And this
Mhm.
dude's planning murders a year in advance? Like,
Yeah.
no, there's no way that this
Mhm.
wasn't planned to the end. And he
It's
just
John
got
Doe's
lucky /
pride.
unlucky.
I think it's his
Yeah.
pride in that, oh, I thought I had this figured out and these 2 motherfuckers are gonna find my fucking spot. Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, because then he also, when they discover his spot, he shoots at them. There's this chase scene.
This
chase scene is
so
Holy
intense.
shit.
Awesome.
This chase scene is so fucking good. And the fact that he's like, I could have killed you. He gets to he gets to Mills. He holds the gun to his head. And this is him, like Jeffrey said, yes-anding. This is his UCB training kicking in.
Uh-huh.
He's like, oh yeah, okay, I could kill you right now, or
Yeah.
I could figure out
Wrap
some
you
new
up.
fun
Yeah,
ways.
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
Let me figure something out here.
'Cause
Yeah.
he likes
Also,
putting
guys,
people
I'm
through
so
the
sorry.
ringer.
I have to feed my
Yes.
cat because he will not stop meowing.
Please.
Which is just going to be in your thing. It'll take me 30 seconds. I'm so
Okay,
sorry.
great.
While
I-
he's doing
yeah,
that, I'm gonna
please.
refill my water bottle. Is that cool?
Oh yeah, let's
Yeah.
take a
Okay.
a 1 minute. I'm gonna get a water too.
Yeah, because all this screaming. That was very fast, Johnny.
Not stop. Jesus.
Django. Yeah. Wait.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
No
He-
worries. That was a great
he
excuse for me
was
to get
at
more
a
water
10.
too.
Mm.
Okay, good. Good Lord.
Uh, okay.
Okay. Where'd Cecil go? Everybody took a little water break?
Yeah,
I think it's-
we
yeah.
all went to fill up our water bottles.
Mm-hmm. I think Cecil did a bathroom break. So
Well, thanks
There-
for the break,
back.
Django.
Absolutely. Thanks, Django.
Thanks,
He's
Django.
happily eating in the corner right now.
Do like this notion, by the way, that John Doe got his wheels shot off by them kind of going off script. And I like this because it made me start thinking, so when you brought up like the 7 virtues, I was like, what if John Doe had successfully killed 7 rando people? And it's like end of season 1, season 2, I'm going to kill people by the 7 virtues. And then I'm by the
Yeah.
7 traits of the 7 dwarfs. And then by the 7 habits of highly effective people. Like we could go on and on. Like he could have multiple
Totally, yeah.
serial killer seasons of his life.
Wow.
But I think you're right. I think you're right, Johnny. I think you're right, Cecil. I think there's something about these guys really knocked him for a loop. He's got to like change of
Mhm.
plans. We've got to figure out a new way. And once he sort of knows he's done for, he knows his life has to end too.
Yeah.
Or that's what he's told. Like we see that a lot with killers. We don't deal with serial killers as much. We deal with public shooters now. And a lot of times they
Yeah.
end their own lives because you're like, well, it's ramped up so far. There's nowhere else to go. I have to do this. He just has a
Right.
more elaborate way out.
The soprano has to die at the end of the opera. Like
Right.
you can't, like it has to go out with a big finish or else it just kind of doesn't have that impact.
Yeah.
And for
that you
him,
want
having
it to
it
have.
be so religious, because like they go into his little hidey hole and there's a fucking huge neon red cross above his
right?
bed. I'm like,
Yeah.
A, you'd never sleep. I hope that's something you can turn off.
Yeah.
You're not just like sleeping under neon. B, it's this martyrdom for him. He's like, oh, well, at the end, I've done my job. I've taught everyone about the 7 deadly sins. I showed everyone that I was right. And guess what? You can kill me too, and then I'll be a legend. It's very like, ooh, girl, I got this. Send me out in a bang kind of thing. Bitch.
Which is why this part it just works well. The fact that like John Doe was surprised that they found him. He did not account for this
Yeah.
at all.
He's a
I'm
rule
like,
follower. He's a rule follower, and he's
Yes.
shocked when the cops, who are normally rule followers,
Oh,
don't follow the
totally.
rules.
right, exactly.
Quote
And
unquote.
if anything,
Yeah.
even though they're doing something possibly illegal, I'm like, you put a little bit of respect on I'm gonna say Morgan Freeman's name, Somerset's name, because he made it work. And he knew, even though he was like Jonathan Doe, maybe. But I think that this is really, really great that it's like we're somewhat on a level playing field here where yes, he's toying with them, but Somerset is no fucking dummy. Mills isn't either,
But also,
I love this. I love that we just have like a little bit of respect for them in this act.
Yeah.
And we also get a brief moment of Mills's chaos kind of working for them when he's like, oops, I smashed the door open, and Somerset is like, we still need a warrant, you bitch. And he's like, how much money you got? Because I'm gonna convince this sweet poor crackhead to just like be like, yeah, that guy
totally
is really
witnessed.
weird. Yeah,
I totally witnessed
And I
a
called them.
murderer. He murdered
And
some
I-
guy right here. No,
Exactly.
shush. No,
You're good.
just-
Thank
And
you.
also,
Yeah.
and that scene is also super important because we're all like, okay, dude, just kick down the door. We want him to. At least I was like,
Yeah.
you're gonna do it. Just fucking do it. But Somerset is right, even though Mills makes it work in the end. And also, this scene is so telling as to what happens later on, where it's like Somerset is just like, I know you don't think you're new to this shit, but I'm telling you, you gotta calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's doing it in a respectful
Just think.
way.
Just like breathe and think.
Again, exactly. Like I'm telling you, the tagline of this film is respect your elders.
Yeah.
Calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they have all this evidence, they have all these notebooks, but it is it's like chatter level of evidence, right? Like there's so much information as to have zero information. It's flooded with too much to even begin to sort through, because it's all handwritten and they're not in any order, but they do have photograph. It's like blurry photograph from his dark room of, well, he is a hobbyist, by the way. He's a journalist. He loves journaling. He loves photography.
He's a bit of a crafter.
Yeah,
Yes.
totally. Oh
He
my
likes
God,
antiquing.
scrapbooking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paper mache. And leather. There's all kinds
Well, he
of
at least
hobbies out
outsources to Wild Bill. Wild Bill. He's a designer. He's like more of a conceptual artist.
Yes.
Very
Well,
talented.
they find this photo of this sex worker, and then they're gonna go look for her because they know he's targeted her, and they're asking around at leather shops. Basically,
Well, they have a receipt.
Yeah, they have a receipt
for
from
Wild Bill's leather shop, which I was
Wild
like, I know
Bill.
exactly where that is in the West Village. However, this is like, this is one of the few things that you actually it's so like, again, the thing in your brain is so much more scary. Like, we never see the body of the woman. All we see is the quickly throwing a sheet over her, and then we just see a Polaroid of a knife cod piece. Is that like a knifed cod piece?
Yes.
What's horrible about this murder is that poor man in the interrogation room, with his fucking blanket over it, describing what he had to do. That man's performance, holy fucking shit.
Holy
Holy
fucking
shit.
Like
Yeah.
that's
Having
like a
to dis-
David Fincher, like
yes,
pushing actors to that limit.
to the brink, and having them have to describe this man describing like he had a gun to my head and I had to fuck her, and I fucked her with this knife penis,
Mm-mm.
this penis knife penis. I can't tell which way would it be. Either way, this horrible knife penis knife, and we see it so fast, but it's this poor man telling them how he did it. Oh my God, a nightmare.
Yeah.
I had an acting teacher tell me once, how you do what you do tells us who you are on stage, like when creating a character. So it's like you can make a bed, you can, whatever, but it's how you do that thing. And I think it's seeing the reaction of, like, if we were to watch it happen, it would be horrible, it'd be pornographic, it would be so on the nose, versus watching the aftermath and watching the actor try to like create a character that's dealing with that.
Yeah.
Like when he's just like, and it just ends with like, and also Somerset is talking to the sort of the
owner of the bar,
the owner of the bar, and he's like, do you like this life? And he's like, no, I don't fucking like this life. Like that I have to like, some people come in here with suitcase, like this is the city, but this is where we live.
Yeah.
And just these two cops are just like so drained from these two interactions.
That's the thing that was, I mean, aside from the fact that we get this incredible performance from this actor, we imagine what happened to this poor woman, but this is one of the few moments where you see Somerset and Mills in their respective interrogation rooms, and they're both just like, they both are taking just a moment.
Yeah.
They're like, oh my God. They're drained. They are like, they're
wasted.
done.
Yeah.
Yes, which I was like, thank you for showing us this.
Yeah.
That this is having an emotional impact on these men. Like they are going through it.
Yeah.
Great, such a great shot right here.
So we're also going to get another call. There's going to be a fifth murder. Although technically Sloth was not murdered. Sloth is still alive.
Yeah.
So,
but as
he's
the
a
doctor
ticking
says,
time bomb, but
like,
yeah.
You can shine a
Basically.
flashlight in his eyes and he will go into convulsions and die.
Yes.
He literally says, if you thought that there was any remains of his brain, which is mush, when he said his brain is mush, I was like, Aileen, get out of the house.
Is this professional? Is that a professional term?
It made me so scared of my own sloth, of just like being at home. I was like, Aileen, oh my God, you have to go outside because your brain will turn to mush. Yes, exactly.
Aileen, get out of the house.
I've felt like that when I've gone on like TikTok, Instagram video binges. I'm like, I can
Girl.
literally feel.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 2 hours. Oh fuck! What?
Oh
okay.
shit!
Oh yeah. Oh, that lady popped up to tell me are you still watching instead of sleeping? I'm like, no, you get.
Are you still scrolling? I'm
Are
like,
you still...
man, you're judging me.
All they need is a doctor to be like, your brain is turning into mush.
Yes.
Go take a walk.
And then I would go, and then I would fuck off of my house.
I only bring up that he's not technically dead because, like, my sports brain is still like, technically, this isn't a perfect game. You let a man on base. I know you got him out, but like, maybe still a no-hitter, not a perfect game.
But it's the impact of the thing.
I think that ties in once we get to the end too, where I'm like, I have questions, Jonathan Doe. I have questions.
Yes.
Sir.
It's sort of a miracle that any of this really works for him, but
totally.
This is where we're at. So they get a call about, or they get 911 gets a call from John Doe being like, I've gone and done it again.
He literally says, oops, I did it again.
Quite literally.
If there's not a more 90s.
Yeah. He said, Britney Spears, oops, I did it again.
Yeah.
He puts on a red cat suit.
Your heart. And I got lost in the game.
Amazing. Well, maybe that's where Britney got the idea for the song, was watching Se7en over and over and over.
She said, this film Se7en is beautiful.
Now,
how inspiring. Yes.
Yes, this is it. Now, this murder, I again, with the complex I've super glued a phone to your hand or a bottle of sleeping pills.
Too much.
I was like, your similes are showing. You like, it's just a little too, like, I don't.
You know, it's
It's
I think it's because of the Saw films. Like looking back in the day, having watched this, we would have been like,
Yeah.
"Oh my god,
yeah.
Yes.
this poor woman, this choice." And now we're like, now we've seen people's chest being burst open, their fucking
Legs
Uh-huh.
being
sawn
sawed off.
Rats
brains
eating
cut
through
out.
faces.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I'm so desensitized where I'm just like, oh, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
You know,
I was like,
poor,
y-
it sucks.
There's
Just break the
also
phone. No.
Yeah,
there's
Like,
it's a
also a
call, girl.
thing. This is quite a choice he offers up, that he's taken a beautiful model and disfigured her face, cut off her nose, probably eyelid, whoever knows. We don't really ever, they describe some of it, but we don't
No.
really get the full picture. Again, obfuscation and storytelling, key to humor and
Yeah.
horror, and that's
Yeah.
what's happening. And we get this notion that she just had to call for an ambulance and she would be saved and she would live, but she would be disfigured, or eat a bottle of sleeping pills and kill yourself and you'll never be disfigured. I think it would be hard to find the person who does that option.
Yeah.
I'm not
Like,
saying
you got to
it
do
doesn't
some
exist.
shopping around.
Yes. But like,
Yeah.
he took a real gamble that she's going to
Yeah.
make this choice. But
Also,
she did.
come on.
Sure did.
You can't tell me that, like, listen, if Mark Summers of Double Dare can get into
Uh-huh.
a car accident that completely disfigured his face, and then he went through so much plastic surgery and now looks normal, I was like, you can't tell me that there's a supermodel out there that knows just how much can be done with. They can put you, they give you a new nose.
Totally.
Look at Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill was Luke Skywalker in the first one, and then in the second one, he was a slightly different Mark Hamill, but
Yeah.
he was still fucking Mark Hamill.
Yes.
So
I mean, the 90s plastic surgery was a far cry from millennial plastic surgery, though. This is important to note.
that's
Totally.
true. That's true.
Yes.
Maybe listen, if he spent a whole year feeding that guy, or like fucking keeping that sloth dude, maybe he just spent a whole year being like, hey girl, if your nose ever gets fucked up, you're gonna have to kill yourself because you're
That's it.
so
Yeah.
fucking ugly.
Yeah. Unbelievable. So now we're to the point of he uses 911 to essentially tell them, hey, this is what's happening. Also,
Go to this address. Yeah.
and also, yeah, I'm done. I'm just gonna show up at the police station, turn myself in. Kevin Spacey, 1995, has got two major roles. Both of them are limping killer man.
I know.
Of this and Usual Suspects, I think, same
Wow.
year, 1 year apart.
Seems like it.
But killer with a
Yes.
limp. Sorry, I just
Yeah.
spoiled Usual Suspects for you, but there we go.
I almost
who
said
is Kaiser Sose?
I almost said Sammy Sosa. That is
Who
a
is
baseball
Sam-
player.
Who is Sammy Sosa?
Sammy Sosa.
Can we also talk about the fact that Jonathan Doe arrives in a cab? He
Yeah.
gets out of a cab covered in blood.
Yes.
I
So
know.
this cab
Right?
driver was like, sure, it's fine.
But
Get
that's
in
like,
here."
but that's the whole thing. Like, this movie is like the deterioration of the city.
Exactly.
Is nobody's like it's when Morgan Freeman says, oh, that's the first thing they teach women is don't call rape, call for
Fire.
help, call for fire.
Fire.
Because fire will get attention because everyone fears for themselves, versus help me implies that you must acknowledge another
human.
person's humanity
Uh-huh.
in
Yep.
the gritty film noir city.
Yeah.
Right.
That you don't want
Gritty
to
film
you don't
noir
want to get
city.
tangled up in somebody
Yeah.
else's fight, whereas a fire is just going to
Yeah.
be a fire. There's
Just
no
save
wild,
yourself.
The fire.
So
the
this
fire
taxi
is what it
driver's
is.
like,
Yeah.
long night, and
Oh,
then
yeah,
just keeps
absolutely.
like
He's like,
hands on
"Look,
10 and 2.
Yep.
I gotta make some money. Get in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Absolutely.
Where you going? Wow.
And this is pre-smartphone as well,
Mhm.
which is the terrifying thing. Like, this is
Yeah.
even before you could just be like, okay.
Yeah. I'll see if that TikTok lady will tell me to stop scrolling.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll just pretend to look at my phone.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, having
Mhm.
9 and 1 dialed with my thumb hovering over
Yeah,
the last
right,
Well,
one.
waiting.
with no fingerprints, he can't use Touch ID on his iPhone.
That's
No,
like,
he
true.
can't.
Wow, good point.
And
So-
he has the most generic white guy killer face. So
Yeah,
really, you
it could
just
be
hold that
anybody.
up to it could
Yeah.
be anybody.
Okay, so the lawyer, he's got his lawyer now meeting with the cops, with the DA, the chief, the captain, and Somerset and Mills. And so the idea is we've had 5 victims of this serial killer. And he says, basically, the lawyer tells them he's going to plead insanity, which I've done this a million times. It will be very easy to get him off on insanity. So, but he will plead guilty this afternoon, sign the paperwork,
Or-
turn himself in if his only condition is that Mills and Somerset themselves drive out to the
San
Irish
Jose.
countryside,
Yeah,
wherever we are,
Yeah.
to San Jose, to Bakersfield to go find these bodies. And that's essentially what the condition. And this is bonkers to me because every step of this man's life has been to set a trap for everyone
Yeah,
involved.
don't you think you're being played?
And they
Hello.
think they're ahead of it with the helicopters and the tracking and the everything.
Well, Brad Pitt, Mills thinks he's ahead of it.
Yes.
Somerset says nothing in this scene.
You're right.
Because he knows.
And
he knows.
like
'Cause he
Somerset
knows.
is very cautiously quiet throughout this whole act.
Mhm.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
And-
car ride. I mean, it's
Ugh.
listen, we know he's a piece of shit and a garbage person, but
Uh-huh.
Kevin Spacey in this film is
Yeah.
truly terrifying.
Yeah.
He in that back seat, so arrogant, so know-it-all,
Smug.
so
Yeah.
smug. Like, I am doing the world a favor. I'm showing everybody how horrible humans actually are and that you deserve it. That you've all deserved this bullshit that's coming to you. And guess what? I was the only one that paid attention and knew that it was wrong. And it's like, you know, you killed people, right? You fucking bitch.
Yeah.
Like, hello.
Yeah.
Also,
Well.
I have to say, maybe it was because you all mentioned Britney Spears, and I also find this killer kind of queer coded.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Which I don't like to
can
mention
see
that
that.
because I'm like, please don't make all your villains like, you know, queer people.
Mhm.
Of course.
What
at the same time,
Hollywood
like-
queer-coded villains?
Mhm.
What?
How? But also Kevin Spacey is queening out in the back. He's like,
Yeah.
I seem to remember mangling your face. And I'm like, okay, this is
Yeah.
a man who sleeps under a neon crucifix.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Hello.
Sublimation, man.
Thinks he's like, listen, I'm like, you are preaching the 7 dead. You are a man of God. And I'm like, ooh, this is some deeply repressed homosexuality in here.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just saying I don't like to make my villains gay for many different reasons, but I was like, Kevin Spacey is a murderous queen in this film.
Yeah.
The thing is, when there's an evil gay, I think we also
Evil gay.
evil gays are amazing. Like, there's something about the
Amazing.
evil
They
gay
get
that
shit
is
done.
Yes, they're so fun. They do it well, and it's just like an evil gay is great. So, you know, as much as we don't want every evil gay to be an evil gay,
Mhm.
like, you can be a fun evil gay, but like this type of evil gay, because he's so iconic, because he's terrifying, because there is this vibe of like, I got you, pretty boy. You think you fucking had it?
That's
Okay,
it.
but
It's the
it's-
casting of Brad Pitt as the overtly like the captain of the fraternity. This is what we would hold up. You're the captain, the president. You're the captain of
Yeah.
the football team. Like Gwyneth Paltrow's like, oh, he was so funny in high school. Everybody loved him. He's the joker. He's the laugher. He's all the boys' best friend.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then the envy is not of the normal life. It's of the straight life.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. Like I
Hell
absolutely
yeah.
see that read as
Yeah.
queer coded.
Totally.
Yes.
You got a pretty blonde prom queen
Mhm.
wife. Cute.
This
Guess
is a
what?
life I could never
what?
have.
I
Mhm.
tried to
Elect her
play
head.
house with her and it just
Uh-huh.
didn't work.
And I also have to say, here we are in this day and age where Kevin Spacey is. We don't need to get
A
into
piece
it,
of
but
shit.
Yeah.
it does watching this performance now, and because he's so evil, it does add. And I don't mean to say this to lessen any of the things that the people have gone through in that whole shit, but it does add an extra layer of just ugh,
Yeah.
because he's so evil.
Yeah. It's
Legit.
reptilian is like the best
Yes.
way
Yeah.
I can describe it. And it's like, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like, you hire a reptile to play a reptile. I guess,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that shouldn't be the case. It's not the case. It doesn't have to be the case, but sometimes
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Why did I send how did I do that?
I don't know. We've been noticing on Zoom that there's something to where it's like sudden reactions from things. I had
Wow.
fireworks go off and a balloon went up
Oh wow.
my
Wow.
screen one time during a show.
Okay.
I don't know. I could look it up, but I enjoy
But we
it too
won't.
much.
But
Yeah.
we don't care that much.
Yeah. So we've got a package coming. There's a delivery truck speeding through the desert. And
Delivering it to a trailer with no address between the power lines.
yeah, I don't fully understand how, because there is no GPS here.
Right.
In 1995, full maps go. I don't even know. He had the book out. How did he track this specific coordinate? But he does, and he's got an Amazon delivery for one David Mills.
Just taking a picture.
Mhm.
You're like, your package has been delivered.
It's just a box sitting in some sand. There's a little scorpion next to
That's
it.
it.
Oh my
a
God.
dead dog. Your package has been
definitely.
delivered. Here's your box next to your dead dog.
Mm.
How do these guys not think that they're being played when anybody who says, oh, just a little bit further, just up here, oh, let's walk. No, you're just walking through a fucking field. You are not going anywhere.
No.
I also love the idea that this location has been chosen so that way the helicopters have to stay at a distance. So it's this intimacy between the three of them, even though they're in a fucking huge ass field. I don't know. I love that.
Yeah.
The power lines seem to be they're disconnecting everybody's audio and stuff that.
Yeah.
So it's still it's just the two of them, and then furthering more because Somerset is like, what the fuck is that? And he has to go all the way to the car, leaving Mills and John Doe together to have this the final intimate moment of this fucking psychopath's bullshit. You know what I mean?
And also, let's not forget, finally, the sun is out.
Yes.
It's a clear sky.
Yeah.
Now,
for the first time ever.
Yes, everything is illuminated. We're going to find out all the secrets now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we open the box and Somerset, he cracks that open. Is like, I'm sorry, Amazon. This is not what I ordered. I actually was ordering a burr grinder. But
this is the last time I order anything from China.
But yeah, this
is not the dress.
This isn't Amazon. This is Temu. This is a delivery from Temu.
I ordered the rainbow colored Christmas tree, and you have brought me a pipe cleaner.
Yeah.
Yes, totally.
But I gotta say, Morgan Freeman's reaction in this scene is all of humanity compressed into the if there's any wonder why he is the legend he is, it's the subtlety and the he's just nothing but empathy.
Yeah.
Nothing you know exactly what's in that box from the moment. And I think at one point he even goes it's also the box arrives, he hasn't opened yet, and he's like, what do I do? It's a really kind of quirky,
it's so
it's so human.
Yeah.
And so, I just cannot with Morgan Freeman.
And also, he doesn't stop. He sees it, he reacts horribly, but then he can't look away.
Yeah.
He has to look.
Yeah.
It's wow.
And I think it makes those moments with Tracy even more important in that he experienced the humanity and the love and the likeness of his partner through his wife. Like
Yeah.
he had this little freeway of, oh, I know David Mills a little bit better because of this wonderful woman. And the fact that like now he's just, and now this box is
Yeah.
just truly just the epitome of everything he's lived in this job, lived in with this person, lived in, like he's like, I not only was I retiring, he says, I guess I'll wait till this job is done to retire.
Yeah.
And
And
now
this is the last one?
moment,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is the moment where he's like,
Yeah.
this is how I retire with the fucking head in a box? Fuck.
And also to add on to that, the fact that like at the beginning of this case, 7 days ago,
Yeah.
7 days ago, he was like, not this one. Please,
Yeah.
I don't want to. I'm requesting to not be part of this.
Yeah.
Which just makes it
So much tougher.
so much worse.
Pathos.
Yeah.
I'm too old for this
Pathos.
shit.
Ugh.
I'm too
I-
old.
Can't we end it with the like crime of passion? Two people shoot each other in front of their kid,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's cake
Yeah.
compared to this
Yeah.
bullshit.
Like,
Easy.
It is, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, Doe is allowed to work on Mills, like part of the the
Prep.
accidental or intentional genius of his plan is that he would have time alone with David Mills because he knows he can work him in the way that he can't work a guy like Somerset.
Right.
And he starts telling him, like, I'm trying to tell you how much I admire you and your pretty wife. I visited your home. I tried to play house with her. It didn't work out. And I left and I took a souvenir. It was her pretty head. And he says, she begged for her own life and the life of the baby inside her.
Oh, you
Oh.
didn't know? He didn't know. That's such a Kevin Spacey reaction. The like
Yes.
Yeah.
false surprise, like false surprise
Yes.
Totally.
as a power move.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oof.
Yeah. And he says, become wrath. He tells him to be the wrath. I am the envy because I envied your life. You are the wrath. Again, this is people trying to end their long form improv exercise
Yes,
with
they're
a
like,
good
we gotta
ending.
find some way
Where's-
to
It's like,
stitch this
the
up.
Where's
best
my
we came up with.
blackout line?
Yeah.
I need
Yeah.
my blackout line.
Yep.
Yes.
I need a button so that way we
Yes.
all know. We go, oh, that's done. Okay, great.
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
great, great,
In
great, great.
improv, they did a great job. But
Yeah.
we would never
Totally.
allow this in a final script of comedy. But yeah, he's like, become wrath. And you've got Somerset trying to talk him out of it, but it's pretty amazing. You can see on Morgan Freeman's face he knows he can't. He's
Yeah.
trying,
Yeah.
but he knows he
Absolutely.
can't. He knows,
Like he
Seen
throws
too
his
much
gun
already from
away.
Mills.
He's like
He
doing
knows.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's what happens when the pacifist meets, a hothead.
yeah,
Definitely.
if you kill him,
And I
he
mean-
will win.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Here's where I kind of call bullshit on this.
Okay.
Now, I do like that we've kind of been like, okay, we've kind of queer coded Jonathan Doe's story, which in that case, I'm like, I believe the envy. I do. I see him. That's a life he never could have led. That's my like interpretation of this as a gay man, but I don't think most people would have that view. They would just be like, he's just a really religious fucking nut, whatever.
Yeah,
And so I'm like, I don't believe you, Jonathan Doe. I don't believe that you envy him. I think you fucking took a cheap shot and you murdered an innocent woman who had nothing to do with
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
who did nothing. She didn't do anything. She was not guilty of any fucking none of the 7 deadly sins,
mm-hmm.
which is a reminder of how brutal and awful he is. And the fact that he's using this as an excuse to make a Brad Pitt Mills murder him, I'm like, no, your entire plan is bullshit in my eyes.
Yeah.
Not that it should not. It was, all of it was bullshit because he's a disgusting serial killer. But I'm like, no, top out. I call bullshit on your plan right here.
I would even say it's same, and it even in some of his other murders, like the fact that he kills the prostitute who is not a victim of lust. Believe me, that sex worker
Yeah.
is not lusting after her John.
No.
Sex work is real
Kills
work,
the
bitch.
sex
Like,
worker.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's just trying to do her
Yes.
job, but lets the
Mhm.
John, who even if this guy was like, you know, some
A
like he
mess.
seems
Yeah.
like, you know, like that is the lust side of the lust to you know, like activity to object equation. So like
Right.
it's very skewed, his and very misogynistic. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like literally
Well-
kill the
God.
woman, save the man, let the man
Mhm.
deal with the consequences. That's, you know, pain enough for the rest of your life.
Well, can I throw out that I don't think his victim in the lust case was the woman. I think
It's
in his mind the
leaving that
victim is
man
the
in
man.
It's the
shambles.
Because
John. Yeah.
every single one of the 7 deadly sins victims was emotionally, spiritually tortured.
Yeah.
Except for John Doe, who gets quickly shot in the head
Yeah.
by Mills here at the
Yeah.
end. But the people who suffer, so as the victim of wrath, you know, the wrath victim is Mills, who is going to continue to live with
He has to live with that
the
for the
fact
rest of
that
his life.
he was
Yeah.
responsible for this. The man who is the victim of lust was not the woman murdered. She is the victim of the crime, but this man is his targeted victim. Like his lust for being in a club like this, he's going to have to live with this. Sloth had to lay tied to a bed
Yeah.
for a year, and Gluttony was I don't forget how long they said he was being
But
forced.
it's like
to do
it's like
it.
seems like months.
A long time. So I think his goal isn't necessarily serial killing; it's serial emotional
Sure.
mental torture.
Serial
Like,
scolding.
Yeah.
Yes. Like with the
Yes.
greed is like cut off your own chunks
Yeah.
of your body
Yes.
and
Yeah.
give a pound of flesh because you're
While
a
I sit
bitch
here and
kinda thing.
watch with
Uh-huh.
make you do this
Yes.
versus
You know-
his death, which is nice, quick, and painless.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
mean, it's not
but
to
also,
take anything away from
Uh-huh.
that woman, that poor woman's death, but
Of
Right?
course.
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
But along those lines, I don't know who it was, but somebody said like these crimes it's just so full of misogyny because
Yeah.
most of the victims here, aside from Pride, are men.
Yeah.
Like
Uh-huh.
the 7 deadly sins are men. And so I'm like, what's the obsession with men here, Jonathan Doe? Which again goes to our, what we've already discussed. But at the same time, the misogyny of using these women as props.
Yeah.
Like the
Yes.
lust victim was a fucking prop.
Yeah.
And Tracy
Yeah.
literally using
Yeah.
her head as a prop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You motherfucker.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. It goes to show like the layers of this film, but also all due respect to the writer of this film, but like maybe little teeny plot holes here and there.
Yeah.
Like just a little bit.
Yeah.
As
Sure.
much as I love this movie.
Yeah.
It's
Or we can go this is me digging deep and being a little bit of a devil's advocate. If we're having John Doe be such a religious nut, maybe he is so much of a religious nut where like the Bible is not great to ladies, so he's like, sure,
Yeah.
yeah.
fuck it. Not only am I horribly repressing my homosexuality, which obviously in the Bible everybody's like, boo, gay.
Uh-huh.
And so he himself, like, doesn't he? Am I making it up that he says something about Sodom and Gomorrah? Am I crazy?
Yes.
does,
Yeah.
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 Right? So
Yeah.
like,
Like he's Old Testament preaching,
Yeah.
exactly. So he's
finger
like,
wagging. Yeah.
exactly. I'm gay, but I'm not going to tell anybody. And also, ladies, who cares about you? Men, God is only always punishing men because I'm God. God told me what to do,
Uh-huh.
okay? So, ladies, who cares? And also, boo.
Yeah.
Yeah, like only
I believe
men are
it. I
worthy
believe
or
it.
some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mills shoots John Doe dead, and then several more bullets, and then we kind of have this epilogue beat of David in the back of a police cruiser. Captain tells Somerset, I believe, is who is talking here, or maybe it's that one cop, the only other cop that works in Citytown,
Oh, I got
USA.
a rough day going on today,
Oh, I
bud.
do.
Yeah.
I gotta get out of this job.
I'll take you
My blood
back.
pressure's up to here this day.
I'm gonna go get myself a hot
What a
dog and
day.
see what my wife has something to do today for dinner.
Marron.
Marron.
But he says about David Mills, he says, we'll take care of him.
Yeah.
which is an interesting acknowledgement of, listen, I'm
Cops.
not saying you're morally wrong for being mad and wanting to murder this man, David Mills,
Yeah.
but that is bad, bad, bad copping.
Illegal.
Fucking
Illegal.
copping. And the cops here are like, we got his back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Yep.
this
Can you
film
imagine,
is
like, what-
aware of
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah, like what penitentiary are they going to put him in? Like, oh my god! And also Morgan, like
Or they'll
Somerset's
rewrite
last line. Yeah,
Yeah.
Somerset's last line of like, "I'll be around." Do you think he's actually going to retire?
No.
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 Do you think this case is like the one that sucked him back in?
No, I think
Yes,
he
like-
he
Oh my god. This is heartbreaking. It's
staying-
heartbreaking.
it's heartbreaking. It's
Mhm.
heartbreaking because all he fucking wants is get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, he wanted to
Yeah.
get out
Like,
of here 20 years ago when he had the
20
pretty
years
wife.
ago.
and the-
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
And now he's like, I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
can't.
Yeah.
There's people like
Yeah.
that fucking guy. There's people like Mills. I can't. I must stay. And it makes me so angry for everyone in this fucking movie who is forcing this sweet, good man who just wants to read a book
Yeah.
to fucking keep working this city.
Yeah.
Ah!
You know what? It's also, you see him kind of coming toward this conclusion throughout the film. And the moment that stuck out for me was, I don't know, toward the middle of the film, he's in bed and he destroys the metronome. He tosses
Yeah.
the metronome
Yeah.
away
Yeah,
from
yeah,
him,
yeah.
which I was like, don't do that. I was
No.
like, keep the metronome. But then at the end, it's like he knew all along.
Yeah.
He knew, like, oh, I'm not going anywhere. This
Yeah.
is where this is unfortunately where I belong. And
It's-
well,
Yeah,
he-
it's very
he's
like
already
waiting
seen
for
too much,
Godot.
and
Like,
this
yeah,
is
let's
it,
leave.
right?
Let's get out of
Yeah.
here. We're totally going to get out of here. We're getting out of here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
we sort of understand
Maybe.
that he got off lucky compared to Mills because he kind of did this, in a way, he did the same thing to his ex that Mills did to Tracy, which is,
Mhm.
no, I'm here in Evil Town, USA to protect the world, to protect the city. And I know you want to have a kid, but no, get rid of that child because we can't have a
Yeah.
kid here. We're staying here. And then eventually she gets the fuck out.
Yeah.
She doesn't get hounded by
Good for
some
her.
serial killer and murdered this poor innocent woman. But Tracy might have reached that same conclusion
Mhm.
with David had she
Oh,
not
yeah.
been murdered, that it's David would be doing the same thing. And I think upon seeing David's punishment, which is just an act of God, really, like bad things happen to bad people and good things happen to bad people. And he is just minus the anger management issue. He is David. He's just older and probably knows to be fucking chill because he might have been angry David when he was 30 years old.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Which
Yeah.
And
is
even-
like the ending, that's why the ending is just like, aside from the fact that we have Gwyneth Paltrow's fucking head in a box.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
the
In a
end-
subliminal cut.
Yeah.
When
right,
that
and,
shit came out on
now-
like DVD, I
Oh.
would actually try. I had to pause it when it came out on DVD, and I
Uh-huh.
rented it from Blockbuster to like see exactly
see
what
it?
it was.
Wait, what?
Uh-huh. What is
Wait,
it?
do you not know this?
No.
No, I know.
Okay,
but
so
do you
Brad
see
Pitt
it?
is like, Brad Pitt's got like the gun to his head,
Yeah.
and Morgan Freeman goes, "Don't do it, don't do it." There is a single frame
Oh, right.
subliminal that of just Gwyneth Paltrow's face. It's not in a
Yeah.
box. It's just but it's light blue,
Oh.
and it just flashes on the screen, and then 2 seconds later, Brad Pitt kills Kevin Spacey.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's
I
But
did not
just-
know
like,
this.
It's the head. It's Somerset being like, I'm not going anywhere. It's Brad Pitt either going to jail or being set off scot-free by the. It's just like, it's all bad.
Yeah.
At the end. It's
Is
so bleak.
this Morgan Freeman's version of his own Inferno? Like,
Mm.
has he reached like at the end he's like, I've gone through all the layers of it and
This
now
is
I'm at
his
the
limbo.
bottom. This
Yeah.
is my
Yeah.
limbo.
Now you're in purgatory.
and I'm
Purgatory.
here
Yeah.
I'm here until who knows? Who knows?
He's actually self-flagellating almost. Like he's got to punish
Uh-huh.
himself.
Ugh. Yes.
Because
for
Yeah.
letting this happen to his partner, his friend, his partner,
his
you know.
to
This
to
innocent
his to
woman.
his ex, to whoever, like to everyone else, that to the one other cop in the city who he's always rude to.
that does all the other jobs.
Yeah.
Oh man, I gotta clean the cells. I don't know.
I gotta read 2,000 notebooks by Tuesday. Jesus Christ.
Oh, my wife's gonna give me a hard time. Also, my kid took a gun to school. What am I gonna
Oh
do?
my God.
Jesus.
Oh my God. And then we get a quote from Hemingway. We get the voiceover of Morgan Freeman. He says, Hemingway once wrote, "The world is a fine place and worth fighting for." I agree with the second part. Credits rolling
Bleak.
backwards.
Bleak.
Worth
Bleak.
fighting for, though.
It is. Yeah,
Wow.
it is.
Wait, he
These-
says he agrees with which part does he say he agrees with?
The second part.
The second, that it's worth fighting
worth
for, not
fighting
that it's
for.
a fine place.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean,
Yoof.
if anything, that goes to reaffirm what you were saying, Jeffrey, that he used to be David. Because
Yeah.
there is that scene in the
Yeah.
bar where the two of them, where David is like, I gotta do this. I don't believe in what you're saying, that it's only bad in the world. So like, this is reaffirming, like, okay, Somerset now is like, there are things worth fighting for. What they may be, who fucking knows in this town from hell, but at least he does believe that.
Yeah.
Guy,
Well,
just let him
Jesus.
retire.
Yeah. Oh my
I
God.
know, right? Let him have
Yeah,
that cabin upstate.
please.
Jesus. Take up
Go
some
to the-
woodworking, Somerset.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
God.
How
Zen and the
so?
art of archery. Come on.
Please.
Y'all, shall we rate this movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so we'll start with approachability. If you're horror squeamish, how approachable is this? I'll give these movies a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being do not go and watch this movie. Hostel comes to mind. And a 10 being super approachable. Over the Garden Wall. What a delightful animated
my
series.
fave.
I would give 7, like 3 out of 10 cans of tomato sauce. Like, it's gruesome. Like, the aftermath is gruesome, but it is hinted at more than shown. This movie tells hints, and that's what makes it more and less approachable. It's hard to say. Like, I feel like we kind of described what happened to all of these victims in this movie. And I think if you sat through that, you might actually be able to sit through the film. There's some gross details, but I think you've seen this shit before.
Yeah.
There's a couple of jump scares in this movie, but for the most part, this movie isn't scary. It's disturbing. That's really what it is. It is, I think the horror of this film is more closely related to noir thriller. I think if
Yeah.
you have seen Silence of the Lambs, I think this is going to be pretty close to that as far as like how horror it really is. And like, content warnings for, as we talked about earlier, like the description of a graphic, torturous rape of this woman that leads to murder, and then just like all of the fatphobic, homophobic, and ableist slurs that happen in this movie, and then just content warning for Kevin Spacey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cecil, what about you in the canon of horror? Like, not even approachability, but just as a horror film, where do you rate this? How do you rate this?
You know, as a horror film, this one's really interesting because the 90s were kind of obsessed with especially Morgan Freeman solving murder cases. You know, like the very like, oh, we've got a serial killer killing silly serial killers. And this serial killers, it's very themed. However, I think this is like some of the 90s Hollywood playing at like batting at its best.
Yeah.
Like the best script, the best performances, the best director, the best design, the best soundtrack, kind of all gelling and also kind of uncompromising in its like, we're going to go bleak as fuck. And we know it's going to be a risk, but we're all taking this risk together. And for that reason, as a horror film, I guess say like 8 out of 10 tree air fresheners.
Sure.
Because it's like, it kind of is like, I would say one of the best police procedural film noir thrillers / horrors out there.
Yeah, Fresh Pine or Arctic Blast.
That's
I'm not
right.
sure
Fresh Pine.
which one you get, but yes. Jonny, Aileen, is there anything you would like to rate this movie on, or just final comments about Se7en in general?
I'd agree with the two of you in that uh it's peak 90s thriller vibe. We had so many of those like Kiss the Girls and
Yeah.
like
Uh-huh.
most of
Patient
them with
Zero
Ashley Judd.
or
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Pelican Brief or
Oh my
whatever,
gosh.
Uh-huh.
like something in that vein. So I think this is truly at the height of it. We get baby David Fincher figuring out his like footing, and it's so good. We get two amazing American actors doing their jam. And you know, as somebody who was a baby horror person when they were not even a horror person yet, when I first watched this film, I really enjoyed it. So
Uh-huh.
I'd say when it comes to approachability and horrorness, I'd give it straight 5 in that you're gonna get enough horror to get you spooked, but it's also 5 in that you can approach it and not feel like you're gonna be boiled over. And I'd say 5 red neon crosses above
Oh,
your
yeah.
smelly cot.
You're like, oh, my migraines. Oh my
Yes,
god.
exactly.
Um, so I'm so terrible at these scales. 1 out of 10 means like, do not approach. This is horrifying. This
Yeah.
will fuck you up forever. 10
Yeah.
means like, come on over. It's
Yeah.
the water's fine. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So since Aileen and I host a Latinx horror movie podcast, I'm gonna take this back to Latin America very, very briefly.
Please.
Oh, I love it.
I lived in Bolivia when this movie came out. I believe I saw it in the movies in La Paz, Bolivia, when I was 95.
Oh.
11?
Wow.
11 or
Yeah.
12.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, my parents were like, The Exorcist? Please, go ahead, rent it, watch it, enjoy. So I'm pretty sure I saw this in the movie theaters. But before I saw it, I had a friend whose name was Jonathan, actually, who was Mormon. Because, you know, Mormons love to travel across the world and, you know,
And
Uh-huh.
mission their
Mormonism.
days away.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. On his mission. Very lovely guy. But I remember he was like, Johnny, I saw this movie. It's called Se7en. It's of the devil. And so I immediately
Yes.
was like, where is it?
I
See
must.
it
I
now.
got. I'm
And
making a date.
I
Yes, today,
love
Satan.
this movie so much. Honestly, I would probably rate it in like one of my top 10 favorite horror films. I
Uh-huh.
fucking love this movie. It is not without its flaws, of course. But in terms of approachability, I have to give a shout out to Jonathan the Mormon, who was like,
Mhm.
the devil. So I'm gonna say 2 out of 10 decapitated heads in a box.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
For a non-horror movie fan, like because your imagination has to do so much, doesn't have to, but will do a lot of the filling in here. That is enough. Like that will
Mhm.
fuck you up
Yeah.
enough. But like aside from that, this movie looks horrifying, feels horrifying. You can smell it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This is a horror movie. Of course, noir, everything like that. Aside from that, it's just fucking good. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
are with it, you are along for the ride. But yeah, approach with trepidation.
Yeah.
But fucking approach because it's so good.
It's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
All right, let's figure out what movie we will watch next. Cecil, you have a scare die. I have a style die. We'll roll these up, see what horror movie matches those two things. So, Cecil, if you roll a 1, our next movie scare is Isolation. 2, Haunted something or another. 3, A Killer Object. 4, Evil Bureaucracy. 5, Animal is the scare. 6, just body horror is our scare. What you got?
Oh my goodness. These are all good, great categories.
That's a
Yeah.
3.
Killer
Objet.
Oh my god. Okay.
Okay, so our killer object's gonna match the style that I roll. If I roll a 1, it's Asian horror. 2, wild card whatever killer object we want. 3, based on a book. 4, a woman director. Just needs to be
Cool.
directed by a woman. 5, a one-word title. No the, no a, just one single word title. And if I roll a 6, it is sci-fi. So it's got to be kind of in the sci-fi horror subgenre. What do I got here?
Okay.
I got a 5. One word title, killer object.
Oh,
Boom.
hell yeah. There's so many. Jeffrey, I know you love statistics. Jeffrey
Uh-huh.
was the one who noticed that like we ran like 5 one-word titles in a row. There are so many one-word title horror movies out there.
Yeah.
This was a fun category. This was
Yes.
a really fun category.
I'm so
So-
excited.
So we're going to have 3 sources for how we pull this together, which is one, Cecil and I already wrote down a couple of like a handful of ones that fit the bill. We have our Letterboxd account. You can go look at the lists where we keep track of all 36 possible matchups, and you can go leave comments on our Letterboxd about what movie we should pick for that. So we'll go through that list. And then Jonny and Aileen be thinking about something that is a single
Killer
word title,
object.
killer object, and see what we
Okay.
miss. So, Cecil, shall I read the ones that we wrote down and you'll tell
Yeah.
us what people said on Letterboxd?
Got it.
All right. So, one word title, killer object, Kronos.
Awesome.
Yes.
Who doesn't love a like a killer timepiece
The
vampire
vampire making thing,
beetle. thing?
Number 2, Cube.
Yeah.
90s
Awesome.
90s movie. The object is the cube. 3, third one, Christine. I love all these. They kind of speak for themselves.
Yeah.
Christine, killer car.
Yep.
Uh,
Easy.
Dolls. Another, I think, 80s.
I've never seen this one.
I haven't
Never
either.
seen this.
I'll give you 3 guesses as to what the killer object in Dolls is. We've already covered the original Hellraiser, but I put Hellraiser last year, 2022's Hellraiser. Object is the lockbox thing. And then finally Annabelle. Single word.
Yeah. Killer doll.
Killer
It's another
doll.
Killer doll.
Those seem so straightforward. That's immediately everything. Hatching is another one. Female director, actually. Hatching is an egg.
Ooh.
I haven't. There you go. What do we got on Letterboxd, Cecil?
1 second.
Mhm.
And we got a couple of different things on Letterboxd. Let's see. We've got Frozen by Ganymede's Cup. Skiers. Oh, it's the chairlift. Killer chairlift.
Oh,
like
interesting.
three skiers are like trapped on a chairlift and they like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess everybody like just shuts it
It's
off
cold
and
up
they're
there.
like, yeah, it's either we freeze to death up here
Yeah.
or we fall and break our ankles.
And
Mhm.
die.
Yeah. Killer chairlift. Max Bird recommends Triangle. A group of friends are abandoned on a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean. Okay, so sort of killer ship something there.
Are you
Seconding
on which?
Wait.
Hold on, real quick. I'm gonna pause. Which one? Which list are you
I'm on
Cecil?
isolation. I'm so sorry.
There you go.
Sorry. I was like, these are not objects.
I was like, I have a
I'm sorry,
very
wait,
different
one word
list
title.
of things here.
Killer object, one killer. Okay. All right. Sorry. Go back, edit all that out. I was like, these are really esoteric
Yeah.
connections, and sometimes that happens. Okay, so here's what we've got on Letterboxd. Ganymede's Cup recommends Slacks,
Killer slacks.
a movie Slacks about a killer pair of pants.
Mm-hmm.
Love that.
Love it. Slacks. Shaz Gordon thinks Phantasm.
Chaz Johnson.
Chaz Johnson, not Gordon. Chaz Johnson. Phantasm, one word.
Uh-huh.
And it's definitely like it's sort of a killer
Spiky ball thing that
spiky ball.
that
Totally.
lodges into your skull and shoots your liquids out.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Anna Laura recommends Teeth from 2007.
yeah.
Killer
Are teeth an object? That's funny.
Yep. Weaponized toaster, seconds slacks, seconds teeth, rubber. A
Holy
car
shit.
tire comes to life with the power to make people explode and goes on a murderous rampage through the California desert.
Y'all, I
And-
cannot recommend Rubber enough. If you are,
I've never seen Rubber, but
I've never seen it.
it's
I've
weird
seen
as
the
shit.
poster.
It is weirder than you think it is. And I told Cecil this too. I'm like, go watch the first 5 minutes. There's an opening monologue from a cop right at the camera, and you will know right away whether this movie is for you. And I think
love
it will
that.
be because it's weird as shit. Sorry, sidetrack.
Let's see. Weaponized Toaster also recommends Polaroid, sort of vintage Polaroid camera that holds dark and mysterious secrets. Love
Oh.
that.
Fun.
Squin recommends Oculus, killer mirror. Katie seconds Megan. Your
Mhm.
Megan there. And let's see. King and Commander says trucks count, then duel. Well, you
Which
keep
we just
listening.
did. Yep.
We're gonna have that coming up here. Okay.
Fun.
Le Croque Mitaine recommends Pin, Pin, from 1988. Brother and sister treat their doctor's father's therapeutic dummy like a brother. So a creepy medical
Oh,
dummy.
interesting.
Okay, so they're like kind of like this is our brother. He is an inanimate object. Sounds horrifying and weird. We got
Yeah.
a second for Oculus. Oh dear. Ace Diamond recommends Hatchet. I mean, it's a killer hatchet.
Uh-huh.
I mean, hatchets, when hatchets attack. Let's see. Also, oh my God, what is this? Also throwing in Aqua Slash from 2019, a killer water slide.
What?
Killer water slide.
What?
And this is a good rec. This is a good rec that I forgot about. Ace Diamond also throws in Witchboard. Play with a Ouija
Okay.
board. So killer Ouija board.
Sure.
Oblatus saploid. I don't even know how to oblate ellipsoid. Oblate ellipsoid. That's how you say those words. Rubber 2010, and a seconding for Rubber from Horror Man Mike.
Real quick, can I
Y'all-
interject what the tagline is for Aqua Slash?
Okay.
Yes.
Cuts like a knife, but it feels so right. What are we talking about here?
What?
And this is a water slide? I can
Yeah.
only imagine.
Wow.
Listen, 29% on Just Watch.
Oh
ratings.
my. 29%. You know it's
Hilarious.
gonna be a classic. Now
All
here's
right.
the thing. Like some of these fit, some of these don't. Like I understand where you're going with Hatchet, but it's an axe. Like that's if the axe was controlling itself, maybe.
Mhm.
Sure.
Johnny,
Okay.
Aileen, did y'all have something that we feel like Cecil and I and or Letterbox have missed in here?
As I was, because I immediately went to Google and you guys were just saying the ones that I was seeing. So
Mhm.
I second all of those, but I did not hear you refer to Killdozer, which is a bulldozer.
Oh
That's a killer.
my.
Is
Yes.
what I
Oh.
just saw.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jerry London's Killdozer is based on a 1944 novella by Theodore Sturgeon. So there you go.
And based on a book.
Mhm.
Based on oh my God. So there you go. So
Read
that's
the
my
book
contribution.
Yeah.
Killdozer.
Read the
Also,
book
it's not
report,
just
then watch the movie.
it's not just Killdozer, it's Killdozer! Exclamation point,
Mhm.
Oh,
which
I
is
love it.
always fun.
My favorite.
So that's mine.
I thought of two. Most of the ones that you listed, I was like, damn it. But Ouija? Did you say Ouija?
Oh no.
No.
Ouija
No.
board? I believe there's a
Witchboard.
new
Witchboard.
Ouija-
But
Oh,
the
right,
but
you said
there's
Witchboard.
But the film Ouija, yeah, Ouija.
yeah.
There's Ouija. I believe there's a new one out there, and I think that's the title. I think it's just
Ooh.
just the word Ouija.
Yeah.
But also, the movie, you might have covered this one already. Shutter, not shut like with
Shutter.
SHUTTER, which
Mhm.
has to do with like a camera shutter. Have you seen that movie?
No, this is a Thai film, right? Is it from Thailand?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Spooky as fuck.
Mhm.
Highly
Oh.
recommended.
I like a killer camera.
Mhm.
Yeah, so check it out. If
I thought you meant
haven't
maybe
seen
like
it.
a killer window that had like
Yeah, I
a
know,
shutter
like
on it.
Oh, sure.
like vinyl
Shutters.
blinds. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Shutter with the T's and not the D's. But
Yes,
if I'm
it
wrong,
is.
I apologize. Yeah. It was good.
All right, so listen, I'll tell you
So-
what kind of stands out to me, which is listen, them bringing up Rubber is very exciting. Shutter is one that Johnny brings up that I'm really interested in watching. I'm not sure if it fits that the object is the killer so much as just the film is, but I haven't seen it, so I could be wrong about that.
Well, I don't want to
you're
give
like-
you any spoilers, and it's been, I'm going to say, 10, 15 years
Okay.
since I've seen it. But from what I remember, no cameras are going around bashing people in the head or anything.
Well, we're very strict on this show
Yes,
about
yeah, oh,
how
so
we
strict.
pick. So strict.
Yes.
We respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're like,
Chronos is one that I put on this list that I still have never seen. Would like to see this movie.
What? Oh
Yeah, I
my
still haven't seen Chronos.
God.
Yeah.
I'm saving myself for the show, Aileen.
I know, I get it.
Ooh.
I get it.
Wow.
But,
Um,
Kronos is a good one.
is.
Although,
so good.
I will
It's-
say, if we're being very nitpicky about the object doing killing, I'd
Uh-huh.
say Kronos isn't really that.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other one that sounded appealing is Dolls, because it's an 80s movie about killer dolls that Cecil hasn't seen either. So it's always
Okay.
fun to
Yeah.
go in with
Double
movies like
fresh eyes.
Dolls
Yeah.
and Shudder. Neither of us have seen before.
Truth.
So
And I gotta say, honestly, like we have Slacks has come up quite a bit.
Totally.
Like it's about a
Killer
campy,
pants.
funny. It's about a killer pair of pants. Come on, like Killer Object to me is like, I think what we were talking about with Brie, where we're like, hey, what's the craziest horror movie you've ever seen? She was like, oh, Killer Condom, absolutely. This movie is banana. And so that was the inspiration for Killer Object, was like an object that is animate and comes to life to kill. So like
Sure.
Slacks, even Christine would be kind of a, you know, it's a John Carpenter, a masterpiece.
Classic.
All right, so it looks like
So
Slacks
much.
and Christine really fit the object that comes to life. Dolls is pretty close, and Shudder is pretty
Dolls
close
definitely.
as well.
Yeah.
Chronos,
have we
just 'cause
done
it's-
Megan? Have we done Megan on the show?
We've never covered Megan on the show.
I mean,
we've
Megan
both
is
seen
definitely.
it, but it's object come to life.
Megan is quite literally
Yes.
an object that comes to life.
Jonny, Aileen, where do y'all go in this? I love relying on the guests to help us
Because
find.
we're like, oh,
That's
please
part
make
of
a
the
decision
random.
for us. I know.
I'm a sucker for camp, so my vote is Slacks.
Mm-hmm. Jonny, what say
Listen,
you?
I mean, I was gonna say go Christine because it's classic, but you know what? Fuck it. Go goofballs. I'm assuming with Slacks, and put on that pair of slacks, even if it kills you.
Dope. Okay, great. Thank you, Ganymede's Cup, for that suggestion on Letterboxd, and thank y'all for picking that movie for us. I love taking that out of my brain
right?
to have to come up with what we do.
Yes, totally.
Well, amazing.
Definitely.
Thank you all for listening. Thanks, Cecil, for talking with me. Jonny, Aileen, thank you for being on our show once again. Where can people find y'all in your work in this world?
Thank you both. It's always a pleasure to be here with you. The best boys to talk movies in town, I think. Follow us on our as we say at the end of our episodes, follow us on our redes sociales, our socials, at Uy Que Horror, Uy UY Que QUE Horror horror. On all social medias. We're on Instagram, on Twitter, which I refuse to call X anything other than Twitter. We're on TikTok. We got new episodes every other Monday coming out. Our newest film that we just covered is El Conde, which is about Augusto Pinochet being a vampire in Chile.
God.
Very good. Highly rec on Netflix. So you can follow me at Aileen Lil Hands, Aileen AILEEN Lil LIL Hands with a Z on all social media as well.
So I just wanted to say thank you also to you guys. This is our third time, I think,
Yes.
on the pod. I so appreciate it. But yet Aileen and I are the dicks who are like, yes, we'll have you on the podcast one day. It's been 3 years. So
we're monsters from hell.
2024 is the year that you both are going to be on the podcast. Please, we would love to have you there.
Yes.
Eileen and I just need to get our
shit together.
What?
Oh no.
So we will. But you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Jonny Elliott, JONNYELIOT. And thanks again, guys. This was really fun.
Thank y'all.
We love
Always
it. We're so proud to have gotten Se7en. What a treat.
Hell yeah.
The last two movies y'all saw were so bonkers, crazy, like fever dreams, that it was nice to get something that was so serious and horrible.
Yeah.
So yes,
the best.
We made up for Day of the Triffids here today.
Which was perfect in its own right.
It was.
Absolutely.
If y'all have thoughts on Se7en or ideas for other movies that would have been good, Killer Object meets one-word title, let us know on Instagram at Random Horror 9 or over on our Patreon, where we have public discussion threads for every episode. And you don't have to be a paying member to participate in those discussion threads and watch slacks from 2020 with us this weekend. Come on back next Tuesday for a new episode. Have a restful night with no rude ass cops harassing you at your leather shop or nothing. Boo.
Boo.